Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 139 of Shacknews Presents Pop Goes the Culture. I'm Donovan Erskine, news editor here at Shack News, and I'm joined as always by our illustrious head of video, Greg Burke. Howdy, Greg. Happy Friday Eve.
Take two. Yes,
Take two.
happy Friday Eve before the weekend. It's a big weekend too. I've been doing a lot of stuff this weekend.
Nice. I have a lot of things going on as well. Personally, just like random stuff with friends and family and whatnot. So that should be a good weekend.
Are you wearing your Target shirt? You are wearing your Target shirt, aren't you? What?
Can't find it. Just ask. I am.
What the
you
fuck
know.
is this?
What? Why are you wearing your Target shirt? You got to keep
Here's
it.
what happened. I did get to keep it. Yeah, they didn't ask for it back at least. Here's the thing. I got out the shower last night, and I was like trying to just throw on a random shirt. It was the first thing I grabbed. I was like, I'll put on the red shirt, and I put it on. I was like, oh, this is my Target shirt. I was like, who cares? And then about an hour ago, I was sitting at my computer. I was like, oh, we got streams soon. I was like, I'm still wearing my like old work shirt when I worked at Target all those years ago. And I was like, do I really need to change it? I was like, nah, who cares? So here I am. You caught me. It says,
yeah.
can't
I
find
you
it,
should see
just
what I
ask.
don't dress. I'm only dressed up today because I went to the
And
doctor.
then
But like, yeah.
the
Yeah, I was
logo
like,
on the
why are
back
you
here.
wearing that? I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, I've seen that shirt before. Oh, right, Target. The Target.
Yes. I have multiple Target shirts actually in my possession. But yeah, you caught me on one of my lazier days where I
Free
just wear
shirt.
my
I
old,
mean, dude,
my old,
free shirt.
my
Why
old
not?
work attire. But yes, luckily, I no longer work in customer service. I now work in games journalism. But also, technically, you could kind of say film and television journalism because
Yes.
we do stuff adjacent to that. We get screens every now and then. We interview people at PAX and Comic Con and all that. And today we're gonna do exactly that because this is Pop Goes the Culture, our
Mhm.
film and television news discussion show. It's been a big, a couple of weeks in the industry, Greg, because we didn't do a show last week.
Yeah.
But before we get to the more exciting things, boy, we have to open our show with some news that made me really sad this week. Like sadder than I was expecting because Rachel Lillis, the original voice actor behind Misty, Jessie, Jigglypuff, and I believe there's some other characters in the original Pokemon animated series, passed away at 55 years old. She had cancer. Um, I wrote the story for Shack News, and by nature of our job, we cover a lot of deaths from like developers, actors. I Man, this one like hit me really hard, man. Maybe it's just because I'm like a Pokemon kid, or I just like I can hear Misty's voice in my head, or like Jessie, obviously prepare for trouble, make it double. And one, I didn't even know that was the same actress until she passed away. That was Misty and Jessie, at least the English version, was played by the same actress. But yeah, apparently she revealed her diagnosis, I believe, earlier this year. Veronica Taylor, who was the original voice of Ash Ketchum, was the one who announced her passing. I do want to read her statement here that she posted on X.com a few days ago. It is with a heavy heart that I shared the news of the passing of Rachel Lillis on Saturday evening, the 10th of August, 2024. Rachel was an extraordinary talent, a bright light that shone through her voice whenever speaking or singing. She will be forever remembered for the many animated roles she played, with her iconic performances as Pokemon's Misty and Jessie being the most beloved. Rachel was so thankful for all the generous love and support that was given to her as she battled with cancer. It truly made a positive difference. Her family also wishes to thank you as they take the time to grieve privately. A memorial is being planned for a future date. With love, Veronica. I saw a couple other voice actors from Pokemon and then just the industry itself come out and speak about it. I saw they posted maybe today or yesterday that they were actually planning to do like a big donation drive where they were going to auction off a bunch of like signed memorabilia and stuff to kind of donate towards her cancer treatments. Her fans had put together a GoFundMe earlier this year and raised a lot of money for her treatments. But yeah, she unfortunately passed away this past weekend. It was very sad. I also saw that the official Pokemon company account put out a statement on the matter as well. But very sad. And I've seen a lot of people sharing like clips from the show, or people have been posting the last scene from the episode where Misty says goodbye to Togetic after it's like evolved, and she's like sending it off to go be with. I forget who she was sending it off to be with, but they have like that kind of last farewell, and
Their
it's
Squirtle
kind of
moment,
like
their Bulbasaur moment, their Charmander moment.
yeah, yeah, which that stuff always even sad. It's already sad growing up when you see that stuff, but sadder now with the real life context behind it. But that's sad. It was very sad news to read and report this week, and I was bummed out that I didn't even know she was battling cancer. I wasn't even paying attention to that
I'm
situation.
surprised you like actually knew because like when I think I was a freshman when Pokemon came out. Maybe
Hmm.
yeah, I was a no junior high when Pokemon came out. So like that's like 13, 14, 15, right? You weren't even born yet at that point. So I don't think so. Like, but I guess Misty was one of the longest voice actors other than Veronica to be on the show. I think she was in the series for a long time until
Yeah.
like, and then sometimes they do the switch out, right, where they bring a new person in, then bring her back later. Classic anime thing that they do.
Hmm. Yeah, because Misty stuck around for a while. She was in there for multiple seasons.
Yeah,
Obviously, my introduction to Pokemon was not season one. It was closer to it was before they brought in May, or right around they brought in May and Dawn, but even then Misty was still around and popping up and stuff. And then they brought her back a bunch of times, obviously, fan favorite character. She's been in multiple games, multiple shows, movies, and stuff. And honestly, I don't know when there was a handoff for someone else voicing that character, because the use of original voice actor would imply that somebody else voices her now. Um, but
contracts, money.
iconic
A lot of these
character.
things are on non-union, which frustrating because one of the things we interview voice actors all the time on the channel, and they're always like, "What's the misconception that we're rich?" They also, we're not rich. We may be popular, you may know
Well,
who you are, but not all of us, can make what
that
Troy Baker makes.
But well, that's one of the things that all
Yeah.
again, was kind of sad reading about this was a part of the story when I was reading one of the reports about this, her passing was that like earlier this year in like February, a bunch of Pokemon fans put together a GoFundMe for her cancer treatments. And I'm like, I mean, I know voice actors don't make that much money, but I'm like, man, that's crazy that like Misty is so popular and so beloved and Pokemon is so iconic and that original like run of that Kanto League Pokemon anime series is so responsible for why it is what it is today. And I'm like to think that somebody involved in making that would not have be able to just pay out of pocket stuff like that. The money would still
Right,
be
the
very much an
cultural
object.
impacts of, but like I
Yeah.
mean, we won't go down this rabbit too much. The same thing with Power Rangers, like it was a non-union shoot. They did it, like they don't get paid any royalties or anything. It's just you get your flat rate and boom, that's it. And then
Hmm.
like Misty was on
Yeah.
everything, on Pokemon cards, action figures,
Yeah.
comics. She was a recurring. It's just a way. It's a very interesting industry. We won't get into it too much, but yeah, like to have that. But thank God that she had that community that could help her. Right, GoFundMe is not a replacement for
Hmm.
healthcare, but like it is helpful when people do that, especially when a community is like Pokemon is a huge community of Pokemon people from all ages and generations. Like, so I'm really glad that she had that help to help her a little bit. And yeah,
Yeah.
terrible news. Like for someone who like arguably like mainstream, one of the most mainstream animes to come out of Japan before it was a
Yeah.
thing, right? It was a big thing, and
Right.
exploded, absolutely exploded.
Yeah, and to spring off your last point, it does seem like she had a very loving group of like friends and family around her. Um, and I mean the whole Pokemon community's been mourning it this week. I follow a lot of Pokemon accounts, and that's kind of been the shared sentiment around it this week. So I do hope that there's some sort of tribute to her going forward. I imagine there'll be an episode of the show or something somewhere that they'll dedicate to her, which I look forward to seeing. But R.I.P. Rachel Lillis. That was quite sad to see this week. Um, Greg, our next news story is more like of a three-headed dragon. Really, it's like a 12-headed dragon that we're just going to narrow down to three heads for the sake of this news story. But D23 just happened, and obviously, I mean, for folks who don't know, D23 is Disney's biennial event because they do it every other year.
Biannual event in downtown Anaheim at
Correct.
at the
Yes.
convention center in Anaheim. They used to do it
Yes.
at the hotel. I
And
think they moved it. Yeah, I tried to get press access, and they were like,
mm, wait, wasn't Ozzy there?
Ozzy
Ozzy
was
was
there
at
for one day, but he was there for fun. He wasn't on assignment.
Oh, that's right. He got
It's
a
okay. We have a connect.
yeah. So,
We have a PR contact there now. So next year I'll ask in
mhm.
advance because like
Well, there
usually
you
like
go.
for us there's like there has to be stuff for those wondering why we don't go. There has to be stuff there for to cover, right? Like for gaming and tech, and there's usually not a lot of stuff there. It's mostly entertainment, movie stuff, which is like we can cover that sometimes, but not this whole thing. But they had a lot of video game stuff this year. So I wanted to cover it, and I reached out too late. But maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, I'll keep a closer eye if they have more video game
Yeah.
opportunities, more tech opportunities, more tour opportunities, because we are branching out. We'll figure out. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's a huge event. It's a more intimate events. Like it's not as huge. It's like it's not Comic Con levels or like
No,
old. I'm gonna say
not
old BlizzCon levels, but
not Comic Con levels, but Disney always makes sure to like save some big announcements
yeah,
for it because obviously Comic Con was less than a month ago, But and they had a presence there, but they kept some things to announce here, and boy did they, Greg. I think the biggest one we can start off with here. I'm sorry, this is a bit out of order. They released the first trailer for the Snow White movie, the live action Snow White movie that stars Rachel Zegler as your titular princess, and Gal Gadot as the evil witch, which is something. But this first look at this movie came out this weekend, or yeah, this past weekend. A lot of takes about this trailer. I watched it. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
it's
really
all over the
feel.
place. We love it. We hate it. We love it. We hate it. All over the
Yeah,
place.
I saw a good bit of both. I personally, just to like go back a bit here, don't really care much for Snow White, just the originals. It's not my favorite like Disney princess story. So the ceiling for me being excited for this is already a bit low. Um, I think it looks just like all the other like Disney live action stuff. I saw somebody comment about how it just looks uncanny, how everything about it just looks weird. Not so much about it looking fake, just weird. Um, which is not only because of the CGI, but like the lighting they use, where like every scene is golden hour, every single scene.
Yeah.
Um, it's just very strangely produced. But I do like Rachel Zegler. I think she's a great young actress. So I think it's cool that she's playing Snow White there. But yeah, this is definitely a trailer that exists. I'm sure this movie will make like $850 million because people love those classic Disney stories. But
It's so weird too because it's like you said, like how the original one that was done in the 50s, I want to say, or even the 40s, it was old. Can you look up the
way
date for
back,
me real
yeah,
fast? What do you want to say? You can look up the date for me real fast so I don't get that
I
wrong and
can.
nobody
Yeah,
screams at me. I want to say it was the late 40s. No, early 40s. It's
the
been so
original Snow White came out in 1938.
okay, so 1938. The thing you got to understand when this movie came out was the techniques that they were using for animation were like cutting edge. So that was it's like people will get mad at me, but whatever. Forget the story, right? Who cares about the story? You look at the production. Like it's the animation that they were doing for the time was completely state of the art and was revolutionizing the process. That's what that did, and
Mm.
that's why that movie's so significant. And it did have some cute songs too, like the great song. Obviously, Disney's used to be nothing but musicals, so like it's the songs and the techniques of the production. When you remake something that feels like it's made in a factory, of just like the CGI doesn't look bad, just just turn the CGI on and it does the thing and it does looks like this. Like, what is it doing to move it
Mm.
forward? Right? What is it doing that's cutting edge that's never been done before? And if the answer is nothing, because maybe there's something that I'm missing at the tech side. If the answer is nothing, then like what's the point? And the point is money. You make money.
Mm.
It's an IP people know the characters, people know the story, so you make money. I'm
Right.
on the fence of like why call it a live action when like 90% of the movie is not real is like really odd to me. Like it's like the only thing
Mm.
is real is the actors and like everything else
Yeah.
is CG. The entire like there's nothing real in this like scene where she's in the house
Well,
and singing.
that
Like very weird.
that argument got even more interesting with the Lion King because Lion King
Yeah.
doesn't even have humans in it. There aren't even like at least
Yeah.
this one you can be like there's a human character in it, but even Lion King there are no humans. So it's like what there actually is nothing in that movie. Um that's real. Um but yeah, I am with you. I mean,
What are your
hey, at
takes on
the end
like
of
the
the day,
remakes in general? Like, did you watch? Because they've remade a lot of them. Have you watched them all? Like, what are your thoughts overall on the remakes?
I've liked some of them and I've not cared for some of them, and I've also not watched some of them. I think Beauty and the Beast might still be my favorite so far. I like the Beauty and the Beast remake, maybe just because I really like Emma Watson, and I thought that movie was pretty well done. And I really like the original Beauty and the Beast. That one's much higher up there for me, closer to my era, if you
It,
will.
what, it won an
But
Academy. It was one of the first ones to win an Academy Award, wasn't it? Like it won Academy or won a bunch of Academy Awards, or was
maybe,
nominated for a lot. I remember it was a big deal
hmm
when that was on the
right.
Emmys or Academy Awards or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't see Aladdin or Lion King. I think by the time those were coming out, I had kind of already checked out by then. But the Cinderella one I thought was decent. The Amy Adams one, I thought was all right. But it's one of those things where like all these original movies aren't just old; they're like your great great grandfather
Yeah,
old. Like they're like pre World War II old. These aren't like movies from the 80s these are movies from the 30s and 40s. I know Beauty and the Beast is a bit newer. Aladdin was 90s, but still most of these movies are like 80 years old. So I think perfectly fine to remake an 80-year-old movie. Obviously it's for money, but I mean the biggest entertainment company in the world owns such beloved property. Obviously, if anything, I'm surprised that this is only the first time we've gotten this kind of remake for a movie like Snow White or Cinderella. So it doesn't bother me that they're going through their catalog and remaking them all. Um, but it does, like you said, it seems weird that they insist on making them all live action when they very clearly want to do things with CGI in them and they
Yeah,
want to like push CGI with all these movies. Army of Techno, also in chat says, isn't there a copyright reason behind these remakes? Um, yeah, I believe
could
so.
be. They
Probably.
have to make a film every
Mhm.
X amount of years, right? Or the rights go up for auction. The film rights go up for auction. They have to do something with it.
Right. But then also though, to that point, aren't those different things? Because like the Steamboat Willie thing, right? Where like Steamboat Willie officially went into the public domain uh this past year. That was just because it had been like 90 or 95 years, I think it was, since it was created. I don't think there
Yeah.
was anything they could have done to prolong that, other than
Well,
like changing the law. They
they
couldn't have
did
like made a Steamboat Willie movie.
110 years after the death of the creator. I think is what they've
Yeah,
lobbied for like a decade. But that you're talking about
right.
just copyright. Like when you're talking about like if you're talking like there's film rights to
Mhm.
Snow White could lapse, right? So
But
they have
that's
to
when you
make
like
something.
license things though, like Spider-Man with Marvel, right? Like Sony has to make a Spider-Man thing every so many years,
Yeah,
or else they
right. Or they
revert
lose
to
the
the
film rights.
original owner, which would be Marvel. Whereas Disney created Snow White and all these guys. So I think these properties will just go public domain regardless of what they make. I think these are like they're a bit further out schedule-wise, like another decade and a half or two
Yeah, yeah.
decades. But I think that all these like original princess stories are like all headed straight for the public domain,
They
no matter what.
they definitely made sure. Well, like it was already public domain when they did the Snow White. It's just Disney's version of Snow White is copyrighted, but Snow White, that story of Snow White is public domain. Like you can make a story, but if it's anywhere close to resemble Disney, they'll hit you with lawyers. So like that's the irony of the company is like they're some of their best animated features. Beauty and the Beast were originally books that were public domain, and then they made them into movies, and then they just copyright the shit out of them, made it really difficult for anyone to do anything if it had anything remotely to do with the Disney version. And I don't know how you classify the Disney version. I guess it's very odd. Probably has to look a certain percentage different or something. But no, yeah. And so like the Snow White story was originally a book, I think, and then same. I know Beauty
Mhm.
and the Beast was a French fairy tale that they Disneyfied, right?
Right.
So like you can use
Yeah.
those, but like you have to do the thing. My wife's school just had to pay like astronomical amount of money for a school. I don't know how much it was, but for a school it's a lot. To do the Beauty and the Beast play because you have to pay Disney if you want to do it.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, I know you have to pay. I know you have to pay
there's a fee
Disney to do it, but
associated.
I guess what I'm saying really too is really that the school even like contact them. Because I imagine like a just like a public school in the middle of nowhere could probably get away with it, right? Like I mean, there are thousands of schools. Like I mean, I've seen businesses like
Take that risk, I guess.
I've driven past daycares that have like Minnie Mouse spray paint or like
Yeah.
drawn on the side of them in big like mural art, and I'm like Disney didn't license that to this random ass family owned daycare in Baltimore County. But like I see stuff like that all the time, and I'm just like, at some point you're just small enough that they'll never know it exists.
It's a risk.
Like I
No, you can
mean,
certainly do that and
I
take
don't
the
know.
risk. I mean,
Yeah.
but like you know, if something the school district can get in trouble and
Mhm.
then have to pay three
Yeah.
times. You
No.
know, it's a matter of how much you want to
No, no,
risk.
they're doing the right thing. I'm not suggesting that they should not have paid. In my head, I
No,
was
you're
like,
saying
I
like
just
why they
assumed that
just
like
do it. It's a
schools just
small
did
rural
that.
school. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think because the same thing like when they found out people were showing Disney movies in class and they got really upset about that, like that kind of stuff.
That's where I saw all my Disney movies growing up
Yeah,
was in the
they got really
classroom.
mad
Yeah.
about that. That's a market. So like
Yeah.
you saw Beauty and the Beast. The Beauty and the Beast I think is the only one Nicole and I suffered through. And it's I think it's the problem with the remakes, right? You change them too much, everyone complains. You copy them one for one, everyone complains. So I think it's like a lose-lose situation, right? Like when you do
Mhm.
when like there's nothing original in it and you're copying it shot for shot, song for song, like what is new about it? And if you change too much, people get upset. And it's just like you don't touch them. You know, in my point of view, it's like just don't mess with them because I think it's an unwinnable situation. And that's why I feel like a lot of these movies come out, make $800 million, and then go in the trash. They're disposable movies. I mean, like,
Yeah.
will people watch Beauty and the Beast, the live action Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Little Mermaid, Pinocchio 30 years from now, and will they be held in such high esteem as the originals? No, because they didn't do anything new, right? They re-released them, they used modern technology, and that was basically it. And I think that's people get upset about the most is like their place in history is very important. It defined a studio, you know, the techniques they used, state of the art. It grew Disney from like a small animation house to this gigantic corporate conglomerate, and now we're getting all these movies that just seemingly kind of disappear after 4 weeks in theaters, and you never hear or see from them again. Really, I know you're getting a Lion King
Mhm.
2, a prequel, right? Because the first one made so much money,
Yes,
and
they
that
released a trailer for that one. Yeah, they are making
yeah,
another Lion King movie about young Mufasa, which is you know,
It's a thing.
I
I
think
mean,
in the
like, I
making.
think that's the other day. Just people don't like because those movies have like a really interesting place in history, and these feel like I don't want to say soulless, but like factory made, like an assembly line making
Yeah.
movies, right? And so so
Hmm.
you don't have that same care and consideration as the original one. And they like I said, they come and they go. They come, there's a shit ton of controversy, they make $1 billion and they go away. And that's weird. If
Yeah.
a movie makes $1 billion, shouldn't it withstand the test of time and like cement itself in history? Like that's the weird
Well,
thing, right?
wasn't that the argument with Avatar for so long, right? It was like this
Yeah.
is the highest earning movie of all time, and like nobody's cosplaying the Navi
Yeah,
at Comic-Con, stuff like that.
exactly.
Was
Who saw Avatar 2? Like it made $1 billion.
mhm.
Like I didn't even bother. Like somebody saw it.
They announced the title for Avatar 3 at
They
D23's
did.
Fire and
They
Dash,
did, and James
Fire and Ash
Cameron's
baby
gonna do it.
2026. Mhm. Um, but it's interesting though because you said in 30 years will any of these live action remakes be like remembered or revered?
Will they? Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's actually an interesting question
Hmm.
because regardless of what we think about them, there are a lot of people who were born in 2013 who will have grown up now with the live action Little Mermaid, which I didn't see, but I actually heard was pretty decent. And I know Halle Bailey's a really good singer, so I'm sure the music's great. Or like Beauty and the Beast, that will be like their introduction to these, unless their
Yeah, yeah.
parents are
Will the
like Disney
nostalgia
adults
come back
who,
full circle? Is the question, right?
yeah. But it'll just be what they know these properties to be. Like they aren't going to be like, "Oh, I love the Beauty and the Beast remake." They're just going to say, "I love Beauty and the Beast," and when they're talking about it, they're going
Which
to talk
one?
about Emma Watson because that's just what they had. Same way when I was growing up, if you were like, "Do you love Star Wars?" I'd be like, "I love Revenge of the Sith." And that's just what
Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Wars
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I think yeah, for a generation of kids, like this is just going to be what these properties are. And they might be just inferior versions, but not to them, you know. And once they're old enough to buy merchandise and tickets and
Yes.
amusement park passes,
Once they
that'll
have
be all
jobs
that
like us and they're
matters.
wasting
Yeah.
money on action figures and stupid collectibles, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so it could go either way, but I am curious to see how these stand the test of time with that generation that
Mm.
is like growing up on them, and we'll be seeing these as their first exposure to that brand. Speaking of Disney stuff, I do want to get through some more D23
Sorry,
things
yeah.
here,
There's so much, just too much,
if you don't
stuff.
mind.
All right, keep
No, you're
going.
fine. Let's look at the first look from Toy Story 5, Greg. They shared this, which this is funny for a couple of reasons. We already knew they were making Toy Story 5. They announced this like a year ago that they were going to make another Toy Story movie. I don't know if there's been a Toy Story movie that hasn't made $900 million or more. Fourth one was 2019, I think, and did really well. Here we go. The first image from Toy Story 5. This is this is interesting, right? Because obviously you've got the gang back together. The first thing everybody online was saying was like, where did Woody come from? Because that was a
Yeah,
big
it's
thing in Toy
concept
Story
art,
4.
people. It's concept art. That's
Is that
why. Yeah.
Woody leaves, but like obviously they're gonna bring Woody back because they wouldn't make a Toy Story movie without
But like,
him as
how
long
though
as
he
Tom
left?
Hanks is
Like, it's
kicking.
like how it feels like a stretch, man. Like you have to
They're just
commit. You
gonna
have to commit. If you made that decision in the last movie that he's gone, you have to
they're
stay with that.
they are just gonna bring him back. They're just gonna say he came back. So Greg, I'm telling you.
What if it's
Or I mean,
what if it's like a new Woody, like another toy of him,
well, I was gonna say
right?
there are ways they could do that. Yeah, they could. They could literally be like, "Oh, she lost her Woody toy. Mom bought a new one." And maybe that's a plot of the whole thing is you're not our Woody. You know,
It cost her
that
mom
could be.
$58,000, but she got the rare toy.
Yeah. Um, Now I do think this image is funny because of what it implies, Greg, about the story of Toy Story 5, where obviously you have. I assume that's Bonnie, who was the kid after Andy goes off to college, the new kid from Toy Story, the end of Toy Story 3, who's under the blanket on. Well, I can't. It's either a phone or a tablet. She's a
The
little kid, so it's hard to
tablet,
tell that's
yeah.
a cell phone or a tablet. And then all the toys are just at the foot of the bed looking at her. So obviously this movie is going to tackle the like Gen Alpha, iPad kid, social media technology generation, right? Because like kids these days don't use toys; they're on TikTok. It seems like
Yeah,
that's
they
going to be
don't.
the.
They don't play. They don't use toys.
It
Yep.
seems like, but it seems like that's going to be the story for Toy Story 5. Is Bonnie will be scrolling through YouTube Shorts instead of playing with Buzz and Rex and Jesse and all
My
them.
skiddly poppers.
Yeah,
Skiddly
yeah, she'll be
poppers.
playing Skiddly Poppers and whatnot. I already saw a clip where somebody edited it to make it like she was watching Skibbity Toilet on the phone,
Oh
like under the
God.
blanket, which I thought was
Yeah.
funny. But Greg, I'm curious to get your take on this because one, I know you groan at the idea of Toy Story 5 that they're still making these movies, but you're also someone who constantly talks about like this generation and kids using technology and social media and stuff like that. Would you be interested to see what Pixar has to say about like the kid iPhone generation? Does that like pique your interest seeing that they're going to do a movie about iPad kids and Toy Story,
A
or
little,
you still like save it?
a little bit because I feel like that's just a movie that's designed for people Gen Z and up. Like that's the big thing, right? Kids have seen Toy Story, they know what it is, right? But like kids who were born like Gen Alpha and like Gen Y, I think, like they came in at Toy Story 4, or 3, you know what I mean? Like they didn't see the first one in the theaters. Obviously the first one revolutionary, the first fully animated feature film to be released in theaters. Fully featured, the keyword is there, feature film, long length feature film. So it was a big deal.
Hmm.
But like, I mean, I saw 4. I didn't think 4 was bad. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a lot of rehashing of 3. Like, with the toy that didn't get home and is angry, and so doing the thing, and like it was nice because like Woody decided to like stay behind. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like they're gonna move on. That's a cool ending. And now they're bringing him back, so that defeats that emotional impact of the 4th movie, which kind of bugs me. But if there's any series, there's 2 series I think that lend themselves very well to sequels that Pixar makes, and it's Toy Story and Incredibles. Because like the stories you can tell are like limitless. Like it doesn't always have to be Buzz, Woody, and Jesse. It's going to be, but it doesn't have to, right? You can focus on other toys and
Right.
other areas. Like it lends itself much better to storytelling, especially with the Incredibles, which we'll get to later. But like I don't know, I feel like four was stretching it. Like I enjoyed 4. I thought it was interesting, but it stretches the concept of the stories with these characters. You could do new characters, right? But that's tough because people like these characters, and it comes with that. There's that sequel problem where like, what do people like in Toy Story? Well, they like Woody, Buzz, and Jesse. Okay, more of that. And that's okay. We'll do that in 2. Okay, now 3, more of that. Okay, do that in 4. Now more of that. And it's just like, oh my god, like how
Right.
much Woody, Buzzy, and like how about 3 new toys? You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool.
Mhm.
Like new family, new toys. But
Hey, they added Spork in the last movie.
they did.
Toy Story 4.
I think I'll see it. I mean, they know that this franchise is beloved. They know that it has like a lot of fan base, and I think they do take their time with it. But I do think it's a story that's going to resonate with older people, not kids, especially with the
Yeah,
iPad
for
stuff.
sure.
So it's going to be for us. And the death, honestly, like the death of imagination and creativity, or the certain death of different types of creativity. I guess I'd say in imagination. There's still creativity. It's just different. It's changed. Just like anything else has
That's a
changes over.
change.
Yep, just as anything
Yeah,
else
I
that
would.
happens as you get older, things change.
Yeah, I would say it's a change. Yeah, it is crazy to think that they're on Toy Story 5. I know the consensus will always be that 3 was the perfect ending for that story. I agree,
Yes.
but also, as far as I'm concerned, they also haven't missed. Like, once these movies start sucking, then I'll be like, hit the brakes. But I mean, I thought Toy Story 4 was damn good.
Oh
And
yeah,
speaking of
also says
sequels,
computer
Greg,
generated feature anime. Thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
I knew it was like the
um,
first like computer CGI animated
yeah,
feature. It was the big deal. We studied it
yeah,
in high school.
hmm,
I'm old. I'm
yeah.
that
And then
old.
you mentioned sequels to Disney Pixar movies. Incredibles 3 was also a big announcement at D23. Incredibles 3 is in the works. Obviously, Incredibles is like peak my generation Pixar. That was 2004. I was 6 years old. This was like among that first wave of Pixar movies that I remember, like, or maybe it was 2006. It was among that wave of Pixar movies that I remember like seeing when it came out and loving when it came out. And it being like the new incredible thing that everybody was obsessed with. So, Incredibles 2 comes out. I think it was 2019. Incredibles 2 came out, or maybe 19. I liked it. It was fine, but I was kind of like, it does not at all stand anywhere near the original Incredibles, which is still like one of the best superhero movies ever made. But we're getting an Incredibles 3. They showed the logo. It's the eye again, but now it's split into 3 instead of 2 or 1. They didn't tell us anything else about it, but we know they're making it. I think they said the director as well. But you talk about stories that lend themselves to sequels. Age up these Incredibles, please, for this
Yes.
next movie. Age
Yes.
these characters up. The second one took place like a year after the first one. It was cute. I want to see like adult Violet. Give me like teenage Dash. Like age these characters up,
I think that's
please.
where we're going. I think that's where we're going.
Yeah.
It's logical. The first movie is about the family aspect, but focuses on the dad. Second movie is on the family aspect, but focuses on the mom.
So the
And the
mom.
third
Yeah.
aspect, you're gonna get, what's it
The
like
kids.
being
Kids.
a teenager going into college, or like a senior in high school going through life as a superhero. Boom. There's your
Yeah.
plot. You know what I mean?
I
Like
would love that.
there it is. How do you deal with your brother, who's arguably one of the power? I don't even know what they call. I think they just call him supers instead of mutants. Who's one of the most powerful supers in the world? Like, how does that? How does he deal with that as like a
Yeah.
middle schooler? I think that's where they'll go, and
Maybe
it's
Jack
smart.
Jack.
It's
Yeah.
smart to go there, and it lends itself so well because they're not just rehashing old plots. And the '60s aesthetic is great. Like the early '60s spy thing is just such a good take that you don't
Yeah.
see very often, and it goes in perfectly with the camp of superheroes when they used to be camp. They make fun of the tropes in those comics in the '60s and '70s, which is even
Yes.
better. And I appreciate that they've taken their time with it. That they haven't just done 1, 2, 3 like in the last 3 years. Good things come when
Mm,
they're patient.
it's
Inside Out
The
2.
Incredibles is just. I
It's
think The
great. Yeah,
Incredibles
no, it's
is
great.
like
It's
a flawless
fantastic.
superhero movie. It's so good. The more I think about it, and everything that happens in that movie, it is perfection. I love that movie. So yeah, I'm excited for Incredibles 3. You talk about like childhood nostalgia IP. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this. I love those characters very much. And I hope they can deliver something special there. Those are the bigger three D23 stories, Greg. They also dropped the teaser for the new Percy Jackson season, which I'm excited about. But to be honest, the trailer doesn't really show much.
Dude, he's
It's
so
just the
old. He did an interview. They've
dude.
run out of time.
Yes,
He's like 20 now. Like,
that
you're too late.
dude.
You
The
need to do it
trailer with
quickly.
somebody did a side by side because you can post like two multiple videos in one tweet now. And it's the first Percy Jackson trailer, which was like a year and a half ago, and the new one.
Dude.
And the both of them, he's the first one, he's like, "My name is Percy Jackson," and then in the new one, he's like, "My name is Percy Jackson." They're
You
like,
didn't
"Dude,
film it fast
this
enough,
kid is
dude. You
growing
gotta
up."
do quick. He's too old. No, he's
Yeah,
too old.
but he's well, that's the thing. He's only 15. He's already like he's closely on pace. It's just, I mean, is kids just age faster than you could ever put them on screen unless they filmed it all simultaneously,
They're like,
which I thought was really
please
funny.
don't grow. Please don't grow. Fuck. He's like 6'2"
But
and like,
I know,
I'm
yeah.
Percy Jackson. How are you?
Mhm. Yeah, but I think it'll be a good like rite of passage sort of thing if they do it right. Like in the Harry Potter movies, obviously Daniel Radcliffe and those characters also get pretty old really fast. But I think it fit that series because like Harry Potter gets very mature very fast once you get around like the third to fourth
Third
books. Like there's a
book
turn.
is when it really.
And Percy Jackson has a similar trajectory, right? If we get to Titan's Curse, which is the third book, and by that book or by that season of the show, Walker Scobell looks like a grown ass man as Percy Jackson. It'll be fitting because the story gets a lot darker after Titan's Curse and Battle of the Labyrinth and the Last Olympian. Like, I think it would work, but I'm excited for this. Now, I'm just hoping they renew this thing for season 3. I'm trying not to be greedy, but I'm like, please let the show make it past season 2 because the movie's only got to cover the first 2 books. Season 2 will cover the second book. Give me Titan's Curse. It's my favorite Percy Jackson book. It introduces my favorite side characters in that original series. Get to that damn book in an adaptation, please. I'm begging you. Do not end this with Sea of Monsters. I don't want to wait another 2 years to find out they're going to renew the show. But needless to say, I'm excited for the next season of Percy Jackson. I'm glad it's coming back. Sea of Monsters is still great. Sea of Monsters has some cool ass shit.
They waited too long. It's in production. It should be wrapping now. No, it's in production. No. He's gonna do the third book, dude. He's gonna be like 25, and you're gonna like not be able to watch it because he's too old.
It's the Stranger Things problem. It is a Stranger Things issue. Although Stranger Things is much worse because those seasons are like 4 years apart every time. Which Netflix, what the hell did they?
Kids grow up too fast, man. They grow up really, really quickly.
Yeah, but good for them though. I'm excited for more of this show. I love Percy Jackson, the property and the TV show. Other stuff they talked about there.
No Star Wars news, right? Like that's for their Star Wars convention, I think, by you.
Star Wars Celebration, not by me. Star Wars Celebration is going to be in Tokyo, Japan next year. It's in like February.
Oh, are you going?
Not that I know of. That'd be news to me. Whoa, we got Bad Kitty 64 in the chat.
He's coming in.
Subscribing with Amazon Prime. She said, "We do it for Shacknews." How are you doing, Bad Kitty 64? Always nice seeing you. We're just talking about some D23 stuff, which actually, now that Bad Kitty's here, just reminded me because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Bad Kitty, but I believe you like Lilo and Stitch, which I like quite a bit. They did show a teaser for that, if you can even call it a teaser. It's like the logo, but then like Stitch, the CGI Stitch, like runs through it like a banner, and he does this like thing at the camera, and then like that's the end. But they're doing a live action Lilo and Stitch next year, which check in on me when that comes out. That'll be interesting.
Do the checkbox, another factory. There we go. We're good there. Wait, what IPs can we release?
Roller coaster ride.
Musicals. And that's not a musical. They just use songs in that very, very, very uniquely and creatively. Yeah.
I'm listening to that song as soon as the show is over. I'm gonna bookmark it right now. Yeah. So that was also there. Bit of a nothing burger because they didn't really show anything, but it's coming. Zootopia 2 got a release date there.
Yeah, Zootopia 2 is a good one.
Of things.
For his love Zootopia. Okay. And that's a good movie. It's a film noir movie. I like that movie a lot.
Zootopia is awesome. And I was right. Becky does like Lilo and Stitch. She said she did see the teaser. So cute. I hope it's good. LOL. I hope it's good too. All I can say. I also hope it's good. Uh, but Greg, enough about the properties I'm nostalgic for. Let's talk about a property you're very nostalgic for because this past week, Netflix, the much talked about on Pop Goes the Culture, Netflix has greenlit a Ghostbusters animated series. Now, this has been in the works for a while. We talked about this like 2 years ago when they announced they were
2022,
working on it.
they announced that
But
they were doing something.
it's one of those things where like you can be working on a show all you want, but until a network or a streamer is ready to pick it up and put it on their platform, it ain't going anywhere. Maybe a YouTube channel. But Netflix has greenlit it. It was first announced in 2022. Greg, you've already taken your glasses off, which makes me think you're stressed out about this topic.
Well, no, I
But
just like we've gotten to this like press cycle of announcements for announcements, and I hate that's so obnoxious when they do that. And this cartoon show was announced in June 2022. Yeah, 2022, and like there was just dead air. It's just like don't announce something, like have something to show us, and like keep doing more announcements, and they don't show us anything, and that makes me nervous. But I can tell you the catalyst to this was Afterlife releasing it on Netflix, and like 20 million people or something saw it. Like it was a huge number of people. Can you check for that for me? I want to say it was 200 million, but I don't think that's how much it made. But like millions of people saw it, and Netflix gauges success and watch and viewers. They won't say that, but that's basically what it is. So like Frozen Empire came out at Netflix, and like a bunch of people watched it. So like they saw that metric, and that's what made them push forward for funding and distribution, obviously. So they hired the showrunner who works on the Daily Show, right? The showrunner is a Daily Show writer, I believe.
For this is Elliot Kalan.
Yeah.
To be honest, let me look him up, see what he's done. But he is he's worked on a bunch of like Disney villain stuff. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, he's a big like comic book person apparently.
Oh, he's the executive producer, the showrunner. The executive producer is Elliot Katan. There's a showrunner who's on the Daily Show. He's a writer on the Daily Show, I believe. So,
right.
I mean, like it seems exciting. I hate announcements for announcements. Like, show us something, anything. Show us a character or anything. And this is the problem with Ghostbusters because I know this on the inside through the community and a bunch of people who work with the IP as well. I'm not gonna name names, but like it is. So apparently, the Reitmans own. Like you have to go through them for approvals because like the way the contracts worked in the 80s, people didn't know the value of IP, right? So like Sony can't just do whatever they want. They have to go through vigorous approval process. And people who work in video games that work with IP, Evil Dead game, like when you have to go through multiple people for processes approvals, it takes forever, just forever because someone's not happy. You have to go back and change it. Then the other person's not happy. So like Ghostbusters is in this place where they have to go through Jason Reitman for everything. And apparently, just hearing from the community is that he's very particular about what you're allowed to use. So it's very difficult to do anything unless you're making sweatpants, apparently. So with the logo on them. So like, I worry that this is going to get caught up in just like approval hell. And like, it's just going to keep dragged out and it's going to come out and be this weird thing. But I don't know that because they don't show us anything. They just keep name dropping people who are working on it. That's great. Can you show us a picture of something? Anything.
They don't have anything to show yet, Greg. They don't have anything yet.
They have that's bullshit because you have what's called a Bible in the animation world, and in the Bible you have synopses, character designs, like everything.
That's for people in the production. That's not for the public to see. That's like people working on the show.
Well, that's the thing because it has to go through 20 rounds of approval through the Ghostbusters IP before anyone can see it, which is obnoxious. Like it just sucks because it was I feel like I want to see something like these announcements for announcements are just so obnoxious, especially with Ghostbusters. Like great. And like you said, the catalyst was Netflix having Frozen Empire doing baller numbers on their platform. And they're like, sure, like people, there's a market for this, let's do that. Which is great. I mean, more Ghostbusters is a good thing, but like if it hasn't even started yet, if like they're just attaching names to it, you're still 4 years out. Like, you know what I mean? You've just got the showrunner and producer and like that's it. You still have to do casting. You still have to pick the animation house. You still have to do all the approvals. You're 4 years out. We won't see that. I guarantee we won't see it until 2027. Easy. This is like the Invincible. Maybe. Remember how long between Invincible season 1 and 2 was like 2.5 years?
Yeah, it's
like, and they haven't even started. So what this tells me is that they're trying to hype it up, but there's nothing. Like there's nothing. The contract is signed for Netflix, and they have a producer and a showrunner, and that's all they have.
To be fair, this is business news. This wasn't like at an event. They didn't like go out on stage and say like we've greenlit. This is like a thing that just happened in a business meeting. They gave it the green light, said, "Okay, let's make this." And then the outlets are just the journalists are reporting on it and saying, "Hey, this agreement was
Right.
made." To be fair, this wasn't like Sony didn't come out at like a press conference and was like, "Guess what, everybody?" Um, they do say, Greg, it's gonna be a 3D animated series with it'll be tonally in line with the recent Ghostbusters
Well, I mean,
films.
it
So
has to be. Let's just face it. Like
there you
3D
go.
is 3D is a thing now. Like it's great to have the 2D nostalgia stuff. I am a little surprised because Invisible did so well for Amazon Prime why they didn't go 2D, but that's just the evolution. We've had two Ghostbusters animated cartoon shows, both 2D. The obviously thing is to go into 3D, uh, and it's going to take place after the events of Frozen Empire, which is even better because maybe we can get more development on these characters that seemed really rushed in that movie, which is great. And like, but
Mhm.
again, like these were being this has been in talks probably since 2020, and then 2022. They announced that they have something concrete to show a production company or show a distributor, because I guess Netflix would be a distributor in this case. And it just and
Right.
everyone's like, I don't know. Like they're like Ghostbusters. What's the metric? How many people? Gen X? Really? Like they're kind of like. But I would just point to Avatar. Like that's the big Gen X community loves Avatar. A lot of Gen Xers, a lot of millennials in the Ghostbuster bandwagon. More Gen Xers because they were actually alive when they saw it in theaters. I was not even born yet when the first one came in theaters, but it had this huge wave of like upticking after 84. And they did an animated show for like multiple years. They did two, and then it kind of settled in and kind of just stayed stagnant for a while, and that's okay. Like not every IP can have as long lasting effect as Star Wars, right? I mean, I think Star Wars and Lord of the Rings are like two of the longest running IPs that are still valuable today. Like in terms of that, Ghostbusters is not on that scale, but Sony likes to pretend it is. It's not,
Mhm.
but I'm
They
just
want it to be.
I am excited. I'm excited. I mean, more Ghostbusters stuff is great. The more stuff you can get in the pipeline, the more you can get younger kids into it, and then we call it an infection vector. But yeah, I mean, I love to see something, anything. Sony, if you're watching this, or Netflix, some just character mock-ups would be fantastic. I know that's the weird thing, right? Like no one wants to show stuff till it's done. Same thing in games, right? You want it to look as nice as possible because people have put alpha gameplay out there and it gets criticized, even though it says alpha all over the thing, right? Um, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's funny. I hope that it's animated. I hope the music slaps because I love the music
Yeah.
in the 80s cartoon. And that was just like pre-tracks that someone wrote, like like 80 different tracks for different situations. It wasn't even custom, but it was so good and like so timeless in terms of like like not timeless, so indicative of the period of the 80s, right? Just very very great beats, and I'm hoping that they do some stuff there. And like before I go into more of a long tangent, they did Extreme Ghostbusters, which was late 90s, early 2000s, and it only got one
Right.
season. And like there's been controversy on why it got canceled. The toys were sick, but like they weren't given a budget, and they had who's the Harley Quinn voice actress? I can't remember her name.
Very strong.
Yeah, the Tara Strong was in it. Like she and like all the actors and production people who worked on it were like, yeah, but they just gave us a shoestring budget. We weren't allowed to really do anything. It was very limited. Like Nelson ratings ran the country back then. Like until like streaming services started to derail that. So like no one was watching it, and the toys didn't sell well because a lot of cartoons back then were tied to toy sales. So if you didn't sell toys, it got canceled, and that was true up until like 10, 15 years ago. So like it was just a rough road for extreme Ghostbusters. That's how 90 that was thought of it. Extreme. Remember when everything was extreme? Maybe a little
Yeah.
bit. You remember the extreme
I do remember the
snowboarding?
tail end of the extreme era. Yeah.
Extreme. Yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
like I mean, I hope it can come back. Frozen Empire I think is a mess, but it's my mess. I'm at that point. Yeah, I'm just, dude. I mean, I'm in it. Like, I can't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm one of those people who just I have to support it. I'm at that point. I'm too far into it. So I'm excited.
No.
I'm excited for it. I really hope they can get the approval process down and they show us something, because that'll get people pumped. This is an opportunity for new ghosts, new stories, new gear, and like the community just will eat that up. Like any new gear you put in a movie, someone in our community will make it, even if it's on screen for like a fraction of a second. Like you can see how many people made those red jackets. You know what I mean? Like it's wild how many people recreated those. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy that it's moving forward. I'm happy that it's been greenlit. I'm happy Netflix is producing. I just really want to see something, anything. I
Yeah.
don't know, a hand. Just show me something, you know.
Your day will come one day, eventually.
My Percy
Sometime,
Jackson
Greg.
is waiting. And the good thing is animated is that he's not gonna look like he's 30 when he does the third book.
uh, you'll get there one
They
day.
just gotta hurry, man. I'm sorry, they just gotta hurry with that because like I really don't want to see him that old when they do the third, fourth book. Like that's the problem, right? Like he's gonna look old. Maybe
They
do a
got
CGI thing,
time.
maybe. Put his face
He's
on someone who's
15.
12. Oh my god, that'd be
Oh,
so
God.
astronomically expensive. Putting his face like
No.
on a child actor. Oh my god.
No, they don't gotta do all that. He's 15. They got time. Bad Kitty says I love how diehard Greg
I'm
is
just
for
in it, dude.
Ghostbusters.
Person who has 2
He's
proton
there.
packs. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in it to win it.
3. I have
He's
3.
in it to win it.
Right, 3.
Speaking of being in it to win it, you can be in it to win it by following the stream, just like Bad Kitty 64 does. If you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified every time the Shacknews Twitch channel goes live, because we do plenty of live streams here on the show, or on this channel. We've got freaking Indylicious. We've got the Steve Tendo Show. TJ just launched Elden Vania a couple weeks ago, did episode 2 this week. Taking It to the Lab, another one he has on here. Mario Kart streams. We've got our college football, soon to be a Madden stream happening tomorrow. A lot of broadcasts happen here on the Shacknews Twitch channel, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of it. But
We're oozing
wait,
with content. So much content.
we are oozing with content. And speaking of, you can find us other places on the internet too, like on x.com at Shacknews. We're on Instagram at Shacknews Media, making reels. We're on TikTok at Shacknews, and we're even on Facebook, which is at this point our most prolific platform. Just search Shacknews, you'll find us. But Greg, tell us about those beautiful YouTube channels which you so carefully manage.
Have 3 YouTube channels. We have Shacknews VODs where you can watch all of our streams here if you miss them live, and I'll also try to segment those out for our show when we talk about certain things. You can check out that. It's at Shacknews VODs on YouTube. We have Shacknews at Shacknews Interviews on YouTube, which is our interview content from our events and our interviews and our previews, all that good stuff there. TJ just went to QuakeCon. We have some stuff going up there. I've been very slowly working through his Evo content, which I think all of it's up right now. It took me weeks to do that. So all of his Evo content is up. If you like Guilty Gear and Marvel's Capcom 2, Arcade Collection, all that stuff will be up there. And of course, we have at Shacknews. This is our main channel where we live. That's where all of our raw gameplay goes, our guides go, our features, our everything else that's not an interview or a VOD goes on that channel. So yeah, check them out.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. You put in a lot of work over there, and people should go check it out. Watch the longies, those widescreen 16:9 videos from the prehistoric times, but also watch our vertical videos too, all those shorts. We got a whole bunch of those bad boys over there as well. Well,
back to Percy Jackson.
Greg, yes. More Percy Jackson news.
Yeah, right.
No.
Percy Jackson news.
Unfortunately, this story is less fun. Paramount Television Studios is shutting down, Greg. They're going under. Well, they're being put under, I should say. They aren't going under. Paramount Television Studios is being closed by the company. This comes ahead of their merger with Skybound. It's something we talk about with mergers all the time, where, you know, these companies combine and it's like, yeah, the IP is now in the same place. But what happens is a lot of people's jobs become redundant and a lot of people get fired or laid off as a result of it. And that's what's happening here because Paramount Television Studios is being closed and they are eliminating $500 million worth of expenses, and thousands of workers are expected to be laid off as a result. However, that will not affect the Tulsa King, who has joined us here.
That's not going to
all the way
affect the
from,
Tulsa King show, but everything else.
From Canton, Ohio. It's like when someone escapes in the beginning of the movie before the spaceship blows up. That was that's Tulsa King season 2. But Asif, do you have any business insight here to what Paramount is doing, trimming their company down ahead of their Skybound merger that took them 8 months to figure out?
I don't get it. I don't know what's going on here. Like, there's a lot of Paramount Television Studios.
Yes, and there's a lot of IP they own too.
Like,
yeah,
this is the NCIS people, right?
Yeah. It says current series and development projects will be moved to CBS Studios. So I don't know what that will change for those projects, but I'm sure stuff's going to get canceled as part of this as well.
Hey back, Katie. No, like, it's that whole, you know, we hear this refrain a lot in our industry, but also the broader media industry of redundancy, right? And I think that's the argument that's going to be made here is that, well, if you already have CBS Studios and then you have whatever Skybound's bringing, this is probably just something that had to be cut. But $500 million sure is a lot. That seems like a lot of people who will be affected, and I don't see like I don't understand the value. And we brought this up in other times when we're talking about acquisitions, but like if you're acquiring studios and if Skybound's acquiring Paramount right now, you would think that they like something going on at Paramount. Why fire the people who are executing for you? It doesn't.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, oh, we have to cut costs because we just acquired, but like maybe it's a shitty acquisition if that's your first go-to move. You know?
Yeah. Mhm.
And we talked about this for months, Dom, and like it was like hot potato with Paramount.
Yeah.
Like who was going to
Yeah.
acquire them and the deals, and I'm sure that some of the deals were probably better for employees and some of them are probably better for shareholders kind of thing. But like yeah, why they did this now seems very strange, especially like ahead of football season, which is big on Paramount Plus. Like
Yeah.
and I know that not everything's Paramount. This is like Paramount Television Studios, so Paramount Pictures still gets.
Yeah, I don't know if any major changes are going there, as far as we know at this point. But they have recently done like a big push into television for like Star Trek, right? Which is like arguably their biggest
Yeah.
IP.
Yeah, they
so
have
who
Lower
knows what
Decks.
that does? Yeah.
Like Lower Decks has been good, but I'm not sure who produces that. The thing about this is like I'm not entirely sure what they did, right? So like
Right.
maybe there's not a whole lot there, and CBS Studios can take it over.
Yeah.
But those are definitely different lots in Hollywood, right, Greg?
So
Like
it's a facility.
Paramount.
And the
Yeah.
facility does is that's where you store your equipment. If you own equipment, that's where you have your production offices, and that's where you shoot your soundstage stuff, green screen stuff, whatever. A lot of times studios will rent those out to other studios if they don't have time for those. Post-production facilities do that all the time. Like if their
Sure.
facilities are full and they only have 10 edit bays, they edit 2 edit bays in another studio. It's really common. I think what's coming down to is that they didn't, the way television, and this is just having, there's just too much media and they're competing too fast, and they're like, why do we have this facility? What are we shooting there? We're shooting these 2 things. Okay, why can't we just sell this off or just wash our hands of it, then rent these studios when we need them? Like, and that was probably like in their algorithmic equation of saving money. Well, if we only are shooting these 3 here, why can't we just rent those out from Warner Brothers and save $10 million in property tax and all this other stuff, or sell off property in that valley is insane because there's none left.
Yeah.
I talked to the head of Universal Studios, one of the head of productions, and like they had to destroy sound stages to build Mario Land, and they sound like, they didn't confirm, but it sounds like based on the success of that, they want to do it again to do Donkey Kong. But it's so hard to get that space in Hollywood, have everything be close. LA is a hub space. People have meetings there. You want to be able to shoot there. It's less expensive than New York, but still expensive. So I mean, it's just a facility. I don't know. It doesn't say how many sound stages they had, but they probably shut them down and probably sold them to neighboring studios or washed their hands of it or whatever. But someone will buy those slots. I guarantee it. Someone in Hollywood that's doing well, maybe Disney.
So I went on Wikipedia, and I don't think all of these are TV shows, but Paramount TV Studios, apparently they produced Spin City, Freaks and Geeks, Undeclared, Boomerang, First Wives Clubs. I didn't think American Gigolo was a show. That was a movie, right?
It's, well,
Or
they
no,
can shoot movies.
It was a drama series.
They can shoot movies there too. Remember, it's Shack Intergalactic Head. It's the Shack Intergalactic HQ, where like if we were all there, we'd be going there, right? Like they're shutting that down. You know what I mean, basically. But they're still going to be making things in other areas.
Interesting. I'm
It's just
sure
like-
people are being fired though.
Yeah,
Just
no, they are,
$500
and it's definitely, it's
million.
like they said, it's a
They
cut
said
cost
thousands
thing.
of people are expected to be laid off.
It's a cut cost thing, and it's only thousands and not hundreds of thousands because like a lot of that stuff is like handed off to other outlets. There are other studios that just do color correction, just do post. They have those people in their studio too, but it's just easier for them to outsource it to third-party venues. They do a lot of that stuff. Not their shooting.
Hollywood's full of contractors.
Yes.
They do a lot of that. Now one of my friends he's actually in New York, and he's working in sound design and just work for hire basically right now. So a ton of people in LA do the same thing. That sucks though. I don't think it's good news, Donovan. I
No,
don't.
no.
But I think it's like it speaks to a bad acquisition if this is your first move. It's like,
Got
oh,
to get number,
so
got to get that number down, right? That's the whole point.
yeah, but then why buy it?
Yeah.
Like, I guess and Hollywood IP is valuable, and people have their own production teams. I get that, so we'll see. I guess my gut is that this is bad news, and that consolidation has been pretty terrible for the media landscape.
No, we're
Yeah.
moving to that hyperdrive level of like there's too much content and it's spread out too much and things have to condense down and not even yeah.
I think you see it on your Roku or your Apple TV, like when you fire it up and there's 8 different apps that you have to use to watch what you were able to watch on cable 15 years ago. That's the problem. And you're right. Like it's too balkanized right now, and it has to there has to be some sort of contraction, but it's like the rich are getting richer though. Like Netflix isn't suffering at all. So it's like and for each one of these platforms that dies, you better believe they're going to sign a licensing deal with Netflix, right? Because then they don't have to worry about the back end anymore. It got to this point where everyone's like, I'm going to start my own streaming service. Now everyone's like, oh geez, I'd love to have some Netflix money right now, because it's your profit and loss there, right? Versus like the amount of work that had, like, Paramount Plus isn't terrible. It's actually not a bad app.
Fine, yeah.
HBO Max is a terrible app, and I'm sure they've invested a lot in the destruction of that app. Peacock has gotten better over time, but like my point is that there's resources to deploy to keep these apps up to date on Android and iOS, but also on these TV platforms. So it's like, I think these movie studios and TV studios are like, we can do everything, we're amazing, and then they're like, oh man, this is actually hard. I think it's like took them about 5 years to figure out that, you know what, Netflix is actually really good at what they do.
They should take a step back and do what Sony does. Is Sony, instead of investing in their own platform and competing in that space, they just license out their movies, and that's why they're everywhere. Got like
How dare you, sir? You ignore Crackle once existed.
I do Crackle, Tubi, Freebie. My wife watches those things because sometimes it's the only place the movie's on. Like we were trying to watch.
Very strange how
the
Crackle exclusives are fascinating to me, because no one knows that app exists still, right? Like no one uses it. But
I think people do, but they're just it's so quiet because they're not getting the huge movies. So like they have those numbers. How many people installed? How many active users? They'll never release those numbers, but I like to see them.
That's what I'm saying. Like Netflix tells you every quarter, hey,
how many users they have, right? Because
I haven't heard Sony talk about their Crackle subscriptions anytime.
No.
Yeah.
But for a hot second, it was the only place to watch comedians in cars getting coffee. I remember that.
I didn't even know that. But A24 does a similar thing where they license out all their movies to like I think it's kind of split between Paramount Plus, Max has a bunch of them now, and then Netflix has
it's
some
a bid.
well.
You bid on the streaming rights, and the highest bid gets the content. Yeah.
I think it's a wake-up call to like the creators of content that maybe you shouldn't be a distributor digitally. It's very hard and it's very competitive. I love Tubi. Tubi's awesome.
Well, I think as generations get older, like as we get older, like yes, we're having subscription services, but like my nephew watches shorts, free content. Like he doesn't even have any subscription services. He just watches shorts on his phone, and then pirated episodes of South Park. Apparently, like that's where he just watches. That's all he watches, and like that generation's gonna just use what's free to them and not have to pay, because you have to have a credit card. It gets complicated if you need some kind of way to pay it. You can't use a debit card, or I think you can use a debit card, a prepaid card. I don't know if you can use a prepaid card, but
sorry, this is a non sequitur. Donovan, is that a Target T-shirt?
You missed our opening. You missed it.
I'm sorry, I did. I was recording a podcast.
Yeah. Oh god, that was jarring. Yes, this is one of my employee shirts from when I worked at Target, which Greg called me out on within like the first 45 seconds of the show. Look, I took a shower last night and I just grabbed a random shirt and I put on. I was like, oh, this is my like Target shirt. It says, can't find it, just ask. And then like an hour before we went live, I was like, should I change my shirt? And I was like, probably not. I was like, I don't care. Yes,
that's all good. I'm not giving you shit. I was just like, I think that's the Target font. There it is. Yeah.
No.
It's been a rough year for Donovan. He has to have 2 jobs again. He went back to Target.
a relic of my past. Yeah, that was fun. I remember being an essential worker when the pandemic started. That was fun. That was a good time.
Jeez.
Yeah. But Paramount Plus is in an interesting situation. I think that we can also kind of piggyback this into our next news story to talk about another streaming app for the final main news story here, because Disney Plus is raising prices on all their streaming apps. Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus are all getting
Are,
price
are,
increases next month.
are we gonna talk about what they just did to that poor lady at Disney Springs?
Wait,
Oh,
we
I
should.
heard
Hear
about
this
that. Yeah,
story?
with the woman who passed away, and the husband, the widower, not being allowed to seek like
You can't sue Disney
yeah.
for dying from poor food safety at Disney Springs because you're a Disney Plus subscriber.
What?
Apparently, there's some agreement to arbitration in the terms of service in Disney Plus. So, like, this guy's wife had a terrible allergic reaction and died after they ate at a Disney park. So he goes to sue the company because they were informed that the food was safe to eat for her
Yeah,
allergies.
they told
Um,
her before she ate that it was not out. It did not contain allergens, and then she
yeah,
died.
yeah. But Disney's lawyers came back and were like, "Well, actually, this guy subscribed to Disney Plus, which means he actually agreed to settle this outside of the court with us." Blah blah blah. And yeah, that story went omega viral like the last 48 hours because people are like, "This should get you thrown in jail, no questions asked." Just
It just speaks to the
worst thing
corporate
ever.
overreach that we have right now. That like
Yeah,
they thought that they could take a Disney Plus subscription and apply it to you literally killed a woman. Like, come on, dude.
right. Yeah,
I think it's a stretch.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's definitely one of those where you just look back and you're like, man, Walt Disney just could not have imagined that his company would have such a headline all these years later. But boy,
It's still
yeah,
being
It's
debated.
insane
I don't
bad
think
kitty.
it was that's what their defense is. I don't know if that'll hold up.
I don't know if it will either. But that's just the idea of even like presenting that.
Trying that.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
that's your first move? That's
Yeah.
like that's the happiest place on earth's first move?
yeah,
Is like
exactly the happiest
like-
place on earth.
You know what I mean? Like they love to pitch themselves as family friendly until they kill you with shellfish or something. Like, I don't know,
Mhm.
man.
Right. And I think
No
the
one
point
reads
is-
their EULAs. No one reads the terms and
Yeah, nobody
service.
reads. Nobody
ever.
reads it. I think I'm not saying this
There's
is
a whole South Park about that. The
Yeah.
Human Centipede.
it doesn't learn to read. It's not reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying I agree with this, but I think that from their perspective, which I like, Disney's an evil company, we know this, but like they're like, oh, that'll open the floodgates, so they're trying to like stop people from like suing for any reason, right? Like that's a big thing because this has probably changed, but I remember when I was in college that anyone who tried to sue Disney just lost. Like they don't settle, or if they do, they do gag orders, right? And you never.
They
hear
do
about
what Apple does. They have more money than you, and they bleed you out by getting stays and like delaying things and
Yeah, but a lawyer will
questioning
take this
evidence.
case pro bono because he knows when it does get through, like there'll be a huge payout.
Mhm.
And,
But really,
and like it's
just
usually a
sad.
settlement with a gag order, right? So they can't say how much they got or what happens. I think I don't know how that works, but like it's usually I'm guaranteed that there's the gag order attached to that.
Greg, we've eaten at that restaurant probably. The Disney Spring, like we've stayed at that resort for Extra Life.
Was it at Coronado Springs? Because that's where I've stayed there. as
I'm
well.
not sure, but I'm
Just
pretty
saying.
sure we've either been there or like Disney Springs is like a whole section
It's
of
like downtown
Disney.
Disney.
World, right?
Is there a version of downtown Disney?
Mhm.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we've either walked by that restaurant or been to that restaurant.
Yeah, we
'cause
walked
there was
by
only,
that
like,
restaurant.
four-
I remember walking inside of it. Yeah, because they had that weird stage in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I do remember that.
It was like a kind of castle looking place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just sad. I just feel bad for that dude. I'm like, what a terrible way to lose your partner, and then for that to just be the salt in the wound after it is just
Yeah,
horrible.
not a fault. Not a fault. You
Um,
agreed. Like, oh my god.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just
But it's also like it's like completely different subsidiaries.
Yeah.
Like, come on. How are you going to have
Yeah.
like this? I agreed to terms of service on a streaming service. It does not absolve you of killing people, but
yeah.
that's kind of where we're at right now with how the overreach of corporations in America right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of where we're at, and it's scary because this is a perfect example how the individual in America is being penalized
Mhm.
because there's no regulations to stop corporations from acting like this.
Yeah, it's
it's dairy. The dairy is what got there's butter in something. Like that's the thing. That's why like I had a friend who was deathly allergic to peanuts, and he just wouldn't eat food anywhere. He'd have to bring his own food. Just cross contamination is like you just gotta be
Everywhere.
super careful. Yeah.
yeah, it's horrible. I'm now curious to see how this story is resolved. This is very recent. I know I think it was like Discussing Film, whoever posted about it this morning, I tweeted like 37 million impressions. So this story has gone like super viral now on the
Yeah,
internet. So I'm very
it's
curious to
been
see what
like
happens next.
going around the internet for about 2 days now, but yeah, it is gaining
Mhm.
traction, and it likely will set a precedent.
He says
Um,
over $50,000 in damages. Over. That's just so sad. Like, what is your partner's life worth? I guess Disney will determine that, right? That's the whole point. That's awful.
Also, it's in the state of Florida, so good luck.
Yeah, that's
Wild
rough
West.
too. And like, I guarantee, like,
Mm.
watch how many things are on the menu now. We don't hold any responsibility. Like a big sheet in the front. We had no liability, responsibility. Kind of like when you pay for parking, we do
Yeah,
not. You're not liable if anyone breaks in the car, even though you gave us $200 to park here. Like that kind of stuff.
they'll make you sign a waiver when you buy your ticket next
Exactly.
time to
Yeah.
Disney or
But I
something.
don't know if
But
that would hold up. Like that. You know what I mean? Like it's.
I don't know. Yeah,
It's
I
messy.
don't.
It's gonna get messier. But also, like, I don't subscribe to Disney Plus. I'm not.
That's what I was gonna ask you guys. You're not subscribed, Greg. Are you subscribed to Disney Plus? Or well, you have Hulu though. Are you gonna keep your Hulu
No,
if
no,
the when the
I canceled
price is up?
Hulu. We
Oh,
the
you
rule of
can
thumb
Hulu
is
as
three
well.
three subs at any given time. So we have Max,
3. Okay,
Amazon Prime, and Netflix.
right now.
I
Okay.
think I have Hulu, so I might cancel that because I rarely watch it.
Mhm.
I have Netflix, and I use my brother's Paramount Plus and my brother's Peacock.
Hulu's going up to $9.99 for the ad-supported tier and $18.99 for no ads.
It's the ads are coming. The ads are unavoidable. Like the subscription service is outweighing the cost of production. So like they need to make up for that cost by adding ads. So we basically have cable television now. It was nice not to have ads for a
No, it's
while.
more
Though.
expensive.
It's more expensive to
If
have
you
all
if
of them.
you
Yeah.
add up all the streaming services, it's now
It's
more
worse, yeah.
expensive than the cable bundle. So they have successfully pulled the wool over everyone's eyes, and now they're just spanking us.
And Peacock
repeatedly.
has tiers now, which is
Spanking us,
awful. I hate the tiers. There's like tiers. I was like,
A
oh,
lot of them have
watch,
tiers
I'll
now,
watch
yeah.
Annabelle. Oh, I can't. It's locked behind a premium tier. That's nice.
Yeah,
I do think that I don't know if you guys are planning on
Prime
talking
Video
about
does
it,
that a lot.
but like Peacock did a very good job with the Olympics, I have to say.
They did.
was
I enjoyed. I watched all the Olympic stuff on Peacock. I enjoyed it. Even when they had like simultaneous events going on, you could just scroll between them. I thought that was very useful. Yeah, I don't mind Peacock too much. I use it for some stuff, but
I think they're gonna make it out of the platforms. The reason I say that is they
Comcast
have
big enough, yeah.
Comcast money,
yeah.
and like Paramount doesn't have the backing of an ISP, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think ISP companies owning content, like it didn't work for AT&T like at all, but I think Comcast, because they were a cable provider, I think they're better equipped. And then also, if you look at the tech at the actual app, they can live stream and
Yeah.
have on-demand content. I think
Mhm.
that's a big deal. Being able to do both as opposed to one,
Yeah.
I think is key.
All of them got
Speaking
too
of
greedy.
content, they also have The Office, which is just like the holy grail of streaming content.
They all got too greedy. They saw how much Netflix was making. They all wanted to make that money. And then they have like now there's 20 subscription services now, and like they should have just licensed their stuff out and renegotiated contracts. And people like having everything in one place.
I think Netflix needed competition. I definitely would not
No
want to
question.
live in the world
No, but
where
we didn't
Netflix
need
just
these
existed as the
many
only
services
streaming
to
services.
be born
We
out
didn't
of
need
it.
every IP holder to think that they could spin up their own streaming service.
Right.
That's
Mhm.
what we
Yeah.
didn't need. We did
But
not
it's one of
need
those
that.
things where the market is
Yep.
in the midst of deciding who's going to get to live and die, right? Because
Yeah.
we don't need everyone to have one, but who do we need? You know, like who decides the council of streaming services? What the
Yeah.
five
What we don't need
or four are
is
going to
David
be?
Zaslav making these decisions.
No, he should get far away from all of this.
How is he not fired? Like, he's terrible at this.
A
And he should be
CEO
fired.
taking responsibility
Did you
for
see John
No.
Cena's? Did you see John Cena's stupid ass bootlicking quote today, where he was like, "I'm sure if they shelved Coyote vs. Acme, it was for the right business reason or something stupid like that." It's like, shut up, John Cena.
Shut
I
up,
can't
Cena.
stand
Just
that
go
guy.
do a movie. Don't.
Yeah.
You're like The Rock. Just go do a movie. Don't.
Go do an ad in China.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't
Yeah,
come over
yeah,
here and
just
tell
like,
us how to do
get
stuff.
outta
Just
here.
do your
He's
thing.
also a communist bootlicker, so he's equal opportunity.
I I think another angle of the Disney Plus thing is so you guys don't subscribe to it. I have it through my family. We have a family plan. Like there's some Verizon deal. I don't know what it is that we have, but we have all these things. But I think that a lot of like parents are kind of like stuck with Disney Plus now because if you have like toddlers or school age children who you just put on Frozen or Zootopia or Beauty and the Beast every day, you've got that catalog of Disney films, endless entertainment for children. You kind of can't get rid of that. So
We
a lot of people
bought 'em.
probably Yeah, I mean,
we own all the Cars movies because that was the thing. If the internet goes down, you're screwed.
yeah.
The internet goes
Mhm.
down, you're screwed. If you have Cars downloaded on an iPad, then you're the fun uncle who was thinking ahead. But yeah, like I'm weird. I like buying content. So like
Me too.
I have like a very large iTunes library of film and television shows. But you said something about The Office. Like it's not a selling
Well,
point to me anymore, dude. Like I've
I
watched that show a billion
no,
times.
I mean, for sure, but it's just one of those like for the longest time, any metric, any scales, like here, the most watched shows on whatever stream, it was always The Office, just always there. Especially like the pandemic era, it was just like when Peacock took that away from Netflix, that was like that was like their front page thing was like you can watch The Office here.
Yeah.
Which
I
went a
don't know.
long way in
It
that
worked,
first
and then
wave.
they did that thing last year where they had the Taylor Swift Kansas City Chiefs playoff game. So like,
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
think Peacock is actually making some interesting choices
And
compared to the.
that Office spinoff is going to be a Peacock original. It's going to be
Mhm.
only on there, yeah, so that'll be huge whenever that comes around
And then
for
the
that
last
service.
week they had SummerSlam in Cleveland at the same time
Yeah,
as the Olympics, and you got to think their platform was getting slammed with traffic, and you didn't hear a single hiccup, like at all. Like I just think
Mhm.
they deserve credit for how well it ran and how on demand it was. Like if you don't
Yeah.
give a crap about fencing, you don't have to watch fencing on USA Network before the basketball game. You can just click
Mhm.
basketball, or you could just
Yeah.
like that is what I want that experience for all sports, Donovan. I want to just be able to go in there and be like, I like the
Yeah.
Cavs, click on the Cavs, right? Or like, you're like, I like the Ravens, click on the Ravens. I
Mhm.
feel like on-demand live streaming of sports, it's an
The
inevitability.
cash cow.
And
Mhm.
yeah, but you're right.
My
Linear television makes them a lot of money right now.
But like they have
my
tiers. They're right. They have tiers. So they have a premium and a premium plus. We have the premium, and like they don't. I mean, we used to have the premium. We canceled because like everything's locked. Like you can't watch The Office. You have to have premium plus to
Mhm.
watch The Office. You can't watch any new movies they put
Mhm.
on the platform. You can't watch any of the Shrek movies. Like they don't have anything
Yeah.
like on the pre. It's barely anything. Like nothing you
Yeah.
want to see that's popular is allowed on that. You have to pay for the
Mhm.
$13, the $14.
Yeah.
A couple services. I mean, Prime Video is notorious for that. Where you'll search a movie and they'll be like, "We have it. Oh, you need the Showtime add-on." And I'm
The
like, "What?
Showtime
No,
add-on.
I
Yeah,
don't
there's
have the
that Showtime
Showtime
still doing
add-on."
the old school way.
Uh, or Stars or whatever.
Yeah, Stars
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
I love the Olympics. My only complaint about the Olympics on Peacock is we need to capture more interstitial B-roll for those like in between segments next well, not next year, but in 4 years. Because
Yeah.
boy, by the end of that tournament, I got tired of seeing like the same 5 shots of the Arc de Triomphe and the Eiffel Tower with this one song they kept playing. I was like, we need more footage here, folks. But no, I thought it was excellent. Other than that,
Also,
um,
Snoop Dogg was a treat.
yeah, that's
Snoop
also
Dogg
yeah,
was a
yeah.
treat. Just since we're on the Olympics tip,
Mhm.
watching LeBron James and Steph Curry play together, like and actually try, not like an
Yeah,
all-star game scenario, like watching them,
what a treat.
it answered a question that I asked myself 4 years in a row when I was watching Steph Curry destroy my team in Cleveland. And one year where he didn't, but
Mhm.
it was a hell of a series. But it was like, what if LeBron James joined forces with that
Mhm.
Warriors team?
Yeah.
They would have won like 10 championships or
Mhm.
something stupid.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there was Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James on the court at the same time.
It's like a
You double
basketball
team.
dream. Yeah, it's something you would like make up in a video game. Yeah.
And like a lot of people got angry when they're like, this was better than the Dream Team. I think it was. I think it's the best
Yeah.
team ever assembled. And it was
Mhm.
just amazing basketball at times being played. Not all the time, but
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
it was wild. It was really a wild thing to watch, and it was entertaining as hell.
I mean, what an awesome send off for like that era of basketball, right? From like the late 2000s into like the 2010s, just I mean the KD, LeBron, Steph era, right? Where these dudes were just one of those three was just in a championship every year for the last like 17 years. There's
But see, Axe
obviously,
says only one ball hog at a time is useful. But my point is that LeBron and Steph were passing the ball to each other. It was like I
Mhm.
can't think of a more unstoppable pick and roll play, Donovan. Like
Yeah.
Steph running a pick for LeBron. Okay, now you have the shortest person on the court D'ing up LeBron if they
Mhm.
switch. Vice versa, Steph gets a pick by Braun. Now you have 6'8" person guarding Steph, and he's got the best dribbles in the league. You know, the only thing that would have made this team better, just from a talent standpoint, Kyrie.
Yeah, Kyrie
Can
would
you
have been a
imagine?
good pick.
Can you imagine Kyrie being on that team?
Hmm.
It would have been ridiculous.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, it was really good to watch. And shame on that breakdancer from Australia.
yeah.
Wait, what? The
But
meme? She's
glory,
everywhere.
glory to Team
Yeah, and you
USA.
know what? She's everywhere, and she ruined it for people who are actually good at breakdancing because they're not going to have it in the next Olympic Games.
I missed this. Is this why?
Because she was god awful, and like there are people in Australia who are better breakdancers than her.
He was trolling
And
IRL.
yeah, like she was a troll. The whole thing was a troll. It was about co-opting black culture, doing all these horrible things, and like planning it. Like she did it. She has a plan. It's on the internet. You can read it. It was a troll, and that's not cool because there were actually talented dancers in Australia that could have represented their country and not made a fool of themselves and not drawn away from the actual people, right? Like the people who won that event, no one knows their name, no one saw those clips, but that really embarrassing lady flailing around on the ground went viral, right? Like it's just a shame, like for beat boy, beat girl culture, for that to be the takeaway from this, and that it won't show up again. That sucks because it is physically impressive. Like
Oh yeah.
breakdancing is amazing. It's one of the best art forms out there. So I hate how this all turned out, and shame on her.
So like people don't understand that it was a troll. They don't get it. Like that's the thing. It's like with that boxing match, like people like that was misreported and it spiraled out of control so fast. And I was like, wow, as a journalist, I'm appalled that story took like it was on all my Facebook feeds.
You're talking about the
all my
Algerian
right-leaning
lady
friends
who
were
won the
sharing it, and
gold.
I'm like, guys, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. Like that's wrong.
Mhm.
It says here on the site
Well,
that it did this. I'm like, wow. Remember,
Well,
when
now
it
there's a
lines up with
lawsuit,
your agenda,
so-
that side is correct and every other side is wrong. That's the thing I've realized.
No, and to Donna's point, I can't remember her name, but the boxer from Algeria, she is suing
something.
Elon
she's
Musk
suing
and
J.K. Rowling and
yeah.
Elon and several other people who were
Mhm.
spreading misinformation about her. And
Yeah.
I can't imagine like how tough it is for someone to grow up in a country where it's illegal to be a transgender person in Algeria. Do you think that their Olympic team would do that? No. And it's just, it was shameful and disgusting the way that they treated that person. And I hope she wins, and I hope it sets a precedent, but it's just tough.
God, if like that could change the course too, because if you could sue someone for cyberbullying and like win, like the internet would probably be a much kinder place. If you could you could have
overnight.
financial repercussions to the things you're saying on it, that would be amazing.
But there's like monetary damage that she can highlight. Like, hey, I'm gonna lose sponsors because of this. And you think about like, I guess going back to the breakdancing thing, like this was the one time in the history of the Olympics where this event took place. And now everyone only remembers this lady flailing around on the ground.
It's like
not the actually impressive.
That'll be the
physical-
legacy of breakdancing at the Olympics. Yeah.
And that sucks. It's like when Tanya Harding attacked Nancy Kerrigan or whatever. Like no one remembers who won anything.
It's
that
the
Olympics.
slap.
They just know that.
What won Best Picture that wheel? We don't know. Will Smith slapped somebody. That's all we know. Like it's just a lot about our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's similar in that sense, but it just especially because this is pop goes the culture, and you talk about breakdancing. It's a very American thing, and like it was born here out of hip hop culture, and like
which ironically has become huge in Europe. Breakdancing
Right?
Has gotten huge overseas.
Donovan,
Yeah.
I've been to countless raves, man, and the breakdancing circles at raves would blow your mind. Like that's what I think's cool about breaking is it's not just hip hop anymore. It's a physical means of expressing yourself to any kind of music. And I do think that people who are good at it are athletes. So it's like it just sucks. I hate that this is the it just sucks. But I've seen better breakdancing circles in Detroit in warehouses than that lady from Australia. And it's unfortunate that that's the lasting image of the breakdancing event at the Olympics. And then like everyone was
and won no rounds.
yeah, she shouldn't have been there, dude.
I did, but that doesn't. But that just says a lot. Like that's our culture. Oh, it's memeable. We can put it in Simpsons clips. Okay, do it. It's just like, yeah, that's what it is, man. Like people don't care that it's good. They just care that it's funny or cringe, and like that's. And now you're telling me that the whole plan was there just to ruin it. Like that was the plan, was just to be so god awful that it ruined the whole sport for everybody. That's terrible.
I don't know if she planned to destroy the entire sport, but her
No, she was
arrogance
playing to
led-
troll. Yeah.
She was planning to troll and go viral, and she did. I think the collateral damage goes to all the actual athletes.
Isn't there like a process that like you go through to
It
like
speaks
get
to the
qualified?
Australian process too. Like there's some corruption going on there. Like her husband was involved. There's some really weird stuff that went
This
on
whole thing
behind
went
the
really
scenes there.
deep.
Yeah,
There will be an investigation about all this.
it's just so weird.
Yeah. But hey,
Anyway.
I'm looking forward to 2028 Olympics. They had the Tom Cruise jumped off the Hollywood sign or whatever the hell. They're gonna do flag football at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. That'll be great. Can we get Patrick Mahomes and like Justin Jefferson at the flag football Olympics in 2028? That'll be great.
Did you watch the Pro Bowl last year or this year?
Yeah, I did. I did watch.
It was
That was
flag.
like the flag football pro games. Yeah, it was something. All right. It was definitely a thing that they did. So yeah. But yeah, there you go. Also, to not get too far from the Paramount discussion, would you like to officially do your reaction for Tulsa King
Sure.
season 2? The
So
trailer for the.
I haven't watched this yet. So this was you posted this in the live stream channel?
I
Okay.
did.
Should we all
yeah.
watch it together? Or how are we doing this?
I'm not gonna know what's going
yeah.
on, but we can watch it.
What would be easiest here, Greg? You just want to put it on stream, or should we watch it ourselves?
Should I just
You
go
guys
1, 2,
should watch
3,
it
and push
ourselves.
play?
I'll do a countdown in Discord. We'll do 3, 2, 1, play. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, play.
I don't answer to anybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Manfredi,
Spoiler alert.
you're charged with attempted bribery of a
Yeah, me and Greg
federal
have not seen the
agent.
first season of the show.
How
We
do
have no
you
idea what's
plead?
going on. But we're here for the
Not
vibes.
guilty, Your Honor.
Bail is set at $3 million.
And he's back.
Okay.
Was there any doubt?
I like the song.
We're building something that's
Wait.
eventually going to
Okay,
allow
so
us to go legit.
never mind about the
We have
spoiler.
to
I guess.
think big.
Whoa.
What do you know about wind
Was that a Mary
turbines?
Joanna plant?
I know they
Yeah.
blow.
Buckle up, here we go.
This Manfredi is a problem.
Tell me about it.
He's moving in our direction.
The mob
Competition
comes to
Tulsa.
Tulsa.
Depends who you're
Headline.
competing with.
Is there a problem?
You're an outsider. Tulsa is mine.
The thing is,
Tulsa. Everyone's fighting
things
over
don't
Tulsa.
really belong to people.
Imagine being a
Let's take
Tulsa
out
citizen. You read the
balls.
headline, "The mob has come to Tulsa."
To protect them.
You got a sense of humor.
Sometimes. We might have some trouble coming our way.
Okay.
If you want to build a future, you gotta know what you want.
You have terrible taste in men.
X-Men
In this together.
What is it gonna take to get you to dance with me?
Tough guys don't dance. Why are you wearing your pajamas?
Come on.
Go home and get a suit.
There are millions to be made.
I don't answer to anybody.
You want to go down fighting, huh?
Okay.
Relax there, grasshopper.
Dad, what is going on here? I want to teach them some conflict resolution.
Nothing resolves a conflict like a good smack in the chops, guys.
Tulsa King, new season streaming September 15th.
Okay.
Number 15.
Interesting. The mid
I'm
part of that
excited.
section of that trailer is interesting. Like the music, they kind of go off key for a bit. They get back at the end, and that last scene where he says nothing resolves conflict, like it gets slapped in the face. It's not final audio, which is really weird too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like on set audio.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just editing notes
So-
from me.
Just I think if you watch that trailer just now, that beginning kind of spoils the end of season 1. So is that okay if I talk about the end of season 1? No one's gonna care.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he obviously,
okay.
You're right about
we saw it, so
them and
it's
I-
fine. I'll watch it with Nicole later, maybe.
I really think you should watch it, Craig. I think you're gonna like it. I can't recommend this show enough. It's the showrunners from The Sopranos and basically Sylvester Stallone is Tony. He goes to jail. He's an ex-con. He got released after 25 years of being in jail because he didn't rat out his mob boss or whatever. When he gets out of jail, they're like, there's nothing for you here anymore in New York. So they send him to Tulsa basically to die. But because he's Sylvester Stallone, he ends up thriving and taking over like the marijuana drug trade in that city, I guess. So it's funny that like the whole show, the first season built up to him getting arrested, right? And it seems like in the first 10 seconds of this trailer, they just retcon that. And I really think it comes back to they weren't sure if they were going to get a season 2. And the way that season 1 ended, it would have been fine if the show ended that way. So it's like they almost retconned the ending of season 1. I'm sure they'll explain it somehow, but it's going to be similar to how Vince Chase in Entourage, boy, he got into trouble and then he resolved it. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this.
Well, he was arrested, right? But then when he goes to his court hearing, he pleads not guilty and they set bail. So he's out on bail. Like the court, they haven't haven't got him yet.
Yeah, $3 million of bail though. So who's bailing him out? And then why are they bailing him out? Maybe to kill him, right? So it's going to be interesting. I think at the end of season 1, he and this bar owner decided to build a casino on Native American land. So they did that, I guess. Who was in it?
Subplot A, subplot B. No, but that's cool though. Like there's a lot of things going on.
It looks like a lot of the actors are back, which is good for continuity's sake. Yeah. There were a lot of untied loose ends that they can wrap up here. So I'm happy. I was worried we were going to get a whole season of him just in jail, and that would be kind of lame. Yeah. So the fact that he's able to get out as fast as he did and then get back to work and then be on the cover of a newspaper, because you always see mob bosses on the covers of
mob has come to Tulsa.
Yeah, that's a very weird thing. But a couple characters I'm not seeing in this yet, so I'm kind of curious if they make a return. There's an ATF lady who's pretty important. Obviously, the guy from Silicon Valley, Guilfoyle, he's in this. He owns the dispensary that Sylvester Stallone walked into and basically said, I now own part of this. I actually showed this to my friend over the weekend, the first 2 episodes, and we determined that when Sylvester Stallone meets a character in this, he's either going to hire them, punch them, or give them money by the end of the scene. So it's like a nice little drinking game you can play at home when you watch Tulsa King. It's like, will Sylvester Stallone punch someone, give them money, or straight up hire them? Those are the only 3 options.
Right.
But yeah, it's great. I highly recommend this show. That lady that he's talking to a lot in this trailer, I think she owns like a stable or something.
Stallone is Atlantic City mob? What part of mob? New York mob? What's the location? New York. Okay.
New York. Yeah. It's New York City. He was the second in command to the mob boss, and the mob boss's son got in trouble, and Sylvester Stallone basically took the fall for the kid.
See, that's wild that that's such an old trope, but it's told with a sense of flair. Like that's how you make a good show, is you lean into an old trope but you tell it differently. We've seen that with doctors, we've seen that with lawyers, you know what I mean? Like fish out of water, he's in the small town, oh my god. But now we've never seen that with a mob king. Or maybe we have, but maybe I've never seen it. But with this, you know what I mean? That's the first time I've heard of it. Just interesting.
And they show his daughter in this trailer several times and his grandkids, and that was like they were estranged for 20 some years. So it seems like they're going to keep developing that storyline. It's going to be interesting. He is not liked by basically anybody. There's like 4 people in all of Tulsa who like him, and most people in New York want him dead, and a lot of people in Tulsa want him to either be in jail or dead. So
he's making waves, right? He's taking over their territory. He's doing things, which is, and maybe they not afraid to touch him because he has connections to the New York mob? Is that why they don't outright just assassinate him?
No, I told you, man. He is not liked by the current mob boss in New York. That's why
they might not know that though, right? They might not know that. They just know that he's affiliated with them.
Sure. And I guess at the end of the day, if it's him versus another gang, that the mob would probably side with him. But he was basically sent there to die, and he hasn't died yet. So I think it's more like everyone wants to kill him kind of thing. So we'll see. But I'm stoked. I can't believe it. I really had given up hope on this because like a lot of shows that I liked died in due to the writer's strike or the pandemic or whatever. An example that was Avenue 5. I don't know if you guys ever watched that on HBO Max. No? It was it had Hugh Laurie in it, and it was about a space travel company that was like a cruise ship.
Oh, I did see that. Yes, we fell off of that. It was different type of humor. We fell off, but we enjoyed the first few episodes. Thought it was funny. Yeah. The captain's not the real captain. Like, yeah, he's a show. Everything's an act. The ship runs itself. Yeah, I remember seeing. Yes.
So that show got canceled. Obviously, Doom Patrol ended as a giant wet fart.
Oh.
And then the only show I'm really holding on to right now outside of Tulsa King is Resident Alien, which I think is flying under a lot of people's radar, but it's a great show.
We tried to watch it. We just don't like the main character. You just don't like him. He's just,
you don't like Alan Tudyk?
No, okay, I don't think he's not. There's no redeemable quality. Like if there are, we haven't gotten that far yet because we fell off. But like he's just not an. It's the same thing with Up Shit's Creek. Like I know those characters evolve, but like they're all assholes, and I don't like to watch any of them on screen. Like I'm good, like it's.
Well, I think this isn't spoiling anything, but like the main character of Resident Alien becomes more human-like throughout the show.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing early on is him as an alien, very much trying to, he watches the Law and Order episodes to learn how to speak English. Like he's still not really human, but like he gets friends. He starts to care about people. I think you're probably 2 episodes away from starting to see that change. You should go back.
What's it on? What's it on?
Funny. I want to say it's on Peacock.
I hate that. As long as it's not blocked under the premium tier.
I don't know. It's a sci-fi show. But anyway, that's the other show that I actually like that hasn't been canceled yet.
We'll have to get you in here to review Tulsa King Season 2 once that drops.
I will. I don't think I'll...
Does it drop all at once or is it once a week?
It's a once a week thing.
Then they do it the right way. That's good.
Is that the right way? I don't know what the right way is.
Yes, that you
generate. That's how I like it.
Longer buzz, he's been watching more in the you're in the press cycle longer. Like it's a much better way to do the show than having it all dump at once.
Sure. Okay. So it is on. I think what's going on is like current season airs on Peacock first, Donovan. So like it's like on. I think the day after it airs on Sci-Fi. But yeah, season 1 and 2 are on Netflix. Tom, let me know if season 3 is on there. But if you want a show to just catch up on, I think that would be a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this looks good. I don't see anything bad in this Tulsa King trailer. It just, it does. If you weren't watching season 1, they literally spoil the ending of the season in the first 5 seconds of the trailer.
It's got to end. It's got to give you something. They can't be like. What if they'll make a season 3? Because like usually when they do the second time around, they usually sign for 1 or 2 seasons, sometimes 3.
It's also just wild because like he's a movie star, right? Like Sylvester Stallone is a film star. He probably still commands a lot of money in films, right?
Oh, like a lot of these actors, they take their money and they do the thing where they turn it into more money. So like it doesn't have to be all their money from acting, right? They can invest, do weird stuff. Dan Aykroyd does his Crystal Skull vodka stuff, like they do other things that make the money other than acting. They just take, it's that thing where they take money, invest it, and turn it into more money. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they do that thing. So yeah, I mean, is he a producer on the show at all? Is he executive producer?
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, he has producer credits, all that stuff. So I'm sure he's making money off of it. I'm just saying, like, for a long time, TV was viewed as a step down for actors. And I just don't think that's the case anymore, especially from a monetary standpoint.
No, yeah, that is past.
I mean, this is filmed like a movie.
Like
it really is. It has the quality of like a Sopranos style show.
Yeah, Breaking Bad actually.
And it is ultra violent. Like if you like violence, this is the show.
I like violence with meaning, and like it's mob violence. So yeah, it's supposed to be brutal with meaning. Like it's the whole point.
No,
yeah.
Like you have to remember, like this is a guy who's been wronged by a lot of different people. So there's like a vengeance arc to this, Greg, that I think you would like. But yeah, I really do like this quite a bit. He looks old as hell though. Holy crap.
He is old.
Been around for a minute. Been
It's in
around
his
for
70s.
quite a minute. Yeah.
And in episode 2 of season 1, he gets high as shit, and it's hilarious. So if you want to just fast forward to that scene, worth watching.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then, yeah, like there's a marijuana comes up a lot on this show. Marijuana is legal in Oklahoma, kind of like it is in Ohio now. So like the dispensaries, all that stuff. But they do bring up that point that I do find interesting, where because marijuana is still federally illegal, you cannot deposit your earnings into a federally insured bank.
And that's why it's
Right.
cash only. A lot of dispensaries, right? Even it's like because they can't. If the bank is located anywhere where it's not legal, it gets hazy.
Mm-hmm. So it's like you have these companies that are printing money, right? But they have these safes that are full of money, so they're soft targets. So Sylvester Stallone walks in and just takes 20% of their money whenever he feels like it.
Yeah.
It's very weird, but yeah, this is a perfect time for you guys to watch season 1.
Definitely. Speaking of watching things, Greg's watched a bunch of stuff. He told me that he wanted to do some reviews for. If you want to segue into that segment, Greg, I'll let you take the lead. I think you had maybe a bit more things to review than I did, but I do have some
Yeah.
stuff
What did you watch,
that
Greg?
I
I
checked out
saw. I
as
watched
well.
Batman. I sat down and I watched Batman: Caped Crusader. As an advocate of
Mhm.
animation, working in it, I always like to see the stuff that comes out of it.
Mhm.
I really liked it. I really enjoyed the stories. I enjoyed the writing. Batman works phenomenally as a period piece. I think he should always be a period piece, especially like in like the 30s and like the perfect time, 20s, 30s, Prohibition. Like that's the perfect place to have Batman. He just works so well in that environment. But I loved it. A lot of people are comparing it to Batman animated series, and I don't think that's a fair comparison, just because that series was, we talk about the Showdown all the time, lightning in a bottle, right? Perfect cast, perfect music, perfect animation studio, perfect timing, right? The show is just perfect, and like trying to replicate, it'd be a mistake to try to replicate that, and people comparing it to it, and I don't think that's a fair comparison, because it's not. It's producer Bruce Timm is one of the producers, and Matt Reeves is also a producer on the show, who did the other Batman movie, which I did like. But I mean, I enjoyed it. What sucks is I feel that, and as working in animation and watching this, I feel like Amazon gave them a quarter of the budget they needed in the animation department. There's a lot of shots that are really janky, very slow move, and like slow moving in a bad way. They hang on shots a lot longer, which are little tricks you do in animation when you're trying to conserve a budget. And
Didn't
like,
you
there's
see that in Invincible also, Greg?
yeah, he goes shot for shot. He talks about how they make a budget go, and just there's all those red flags are there. There's a terrible shot of him dodging out of the way of a car, and you're like, wow, I was like, that's bad. Like when I stop it, and she's like, Mama, when Nicole's like, why'd you pause it? I'm like, because that was a bad shot. And I walk back, I'm like, wow, like I don't think they gave them enough animation budget. I think a lot of the budget went to the voice cast, and then Amazon was like, well, we'll give you $2 million to do it. We're not going to give you $6 million.
I think an important thing to mention to talk about the production is that this was originally a HBO Max joint. This was obviously WB owns Batman. This was originally a project at WB that they canceled. They canned it during production or during pre-production, and then Amazon saved it. Amazon went in and bought it from them. So I imagine Amazon probably didn't put their entire farm behind it. They were kind of just salvaging it. But yeah, this show almost didn't even get made at all.
The only criticism I have is the animation feels like it needs a bigger budget. Just in what it is, but I feel like that's not their fault. But because the writing's still great, I like the writing. And on a personal, I don't like they have a lot of incidental characters like Montoya and Bullock and stuff like that. If you've read the comics, which is kind of cool. I don't like what they did with Bullock. I like Bullock as a beat cop who's like trying his best. They made him, slight spoilers, they made him crooked in this. I don't like when Bullock's crooked. I like when he's like, I don't trust Batman, I only trust myself. He's like a legal Batman that is just really rugged. I like that Bullock. I don't like the one that's evil, that's villainous. I like that. That's my only criticism. That's a personal thing.
Is this a movie?
It's a series.
TV show.
Eight episode series. Yeah.
Okay.
And props, like they reached into their bag for some villains that I wasn't even like aware of, like in his like rogues gallery that I haven't seen in like decades or I've never even read about before. which is kind of cool. They of course they do Catwoman and they do Falcone, and they do a Penguin. They do like a gender swap in the Penguin. That doesn't bother me too much. I think there were better villains to gender swap in this other than the Penguin. But it's underground crime. It's great. They have a Firebug, which is like a take on Firefly. I really did enjoy it. Like if you enjoy animation, you enjoy Batman, give it a watch. It's probably too talkative for younger audiences. A little too much talking, a little too much, exposition and wordy. Like there's not a lot of action in it. So, but like I still enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was I enjoyed it thoroughly. That was one of the things I watched for the last week.
Do you think we're going to see this with more DC properties where they end up not on WB properties, that end up on another streaming service instead?
It depends. I think Bruce Timm has had a lot of misses in his career. He's known for obviously the Batman animated series, Superman animated series, and the New Adventures of Batman and Superman. And then he started to do all these, like, that gave him a lot of rep in the industry. So he started to do a lot of experimentation things, and they just weren't great. The Killing Joke was absolutely horrendous. If you've seen that, it was a full-length feature that he did. It was awful. It was just really bad from a comic standpoint, from a fan standpoint, from an animation standpoint. Nobody liked it. So he had a lot of misses. So I can understand why Warner Brothers was like, no, we're not going to do this with you, because he's lost a lot of that cred. Hopefully, but I think we're getting the treatment in like some they love the full length series stuff, the fully animated stuff. They did Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, 2, and 3, and they did a couple other movies, and they're part of their own universe, like their own consistent universe. And I don't like the feature films because like I feel like you have to rush through them. A series is so much better. You can develop characters more. You can tell different stories. Where a movie feels like it's over just as you're getting into it, or just it flows poorly because I have to tell so much stuff so quickly. I want to see more series because they've been doing the movies for decades. But I want to see more series. Like I want to see multiple episode series, similar to like Justice League Unlimited or the Batman, that kind of stuff. I want to see more of that. Teen Titans, Young Justice. Young Justice went off the hinges. I used to love. Funny story about Young Justice is I was friends with the writer. I met him at a convention. Greg Weisman did a lot of Gargoyle stuff, I was like, season 1 and 2 got made for Cartoon Network. They got canceled. Season 3 came in because people wanted to see it again. And I was like, I can't wait to see them focus on Batman's allies. And in the first episode, all of them leave and they're never seen again. And I was like, no. So I didn't watch it. So I want to see I want to see Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl. I want to see all those characters. I think his allies are so cool. And they have a great episode in this, Asif, where like there's an orphanage. And like they get kidnapped, and it's all the versions of Robin except for Drake because he's not an orphan, but like all the orphan versions. So you have Dick Grayson. Oh, wow. You have Dick Grayson. You have Sophie Turner. Sophie, I forget her last name. Sophie, and you have even what's the girl in Frank Miller's one, the redhead one? Oh god, I should know that one. But they did all of them, which was kind of cool. Jason Todd, and like I don't know if that's a hint that they'll use them, but it was a fun little thing to see all the orphans, as like 10-year-old kids getting into trouble. Which was nice. So, yeah,
dope.
I recommend it. I recommend giving it a watch.
All right. Well, Greg, what else you got? We got 13 minutes here. What's your other review? You had like multiple things you sent me.
Oh, what did I send you? I said Wonka's old, and I watched Deadpool. Oh, Borderlands. Oh boy.
There you go.
Tell us about Borderlands, Greg.
Okay, so like I hate to like pile on a movie that's already doing bad, but like all the reviews you're reading are true.
You hate to do that.
I mean, you're true. It's true. It's a bad film. It's just a bad film. It's poorly written. It's extremely poorly shot. I was like shocked how awfully this movie was shot. It was so awful. This Eli Roth like missed so much. And this movie's like surrounded in controversy too. It didn't like recast writers and did reshoots, and it's been in production for like a decade or something like that. Like, there was a lot of bad things in this movie, but like it's just so boring. It's just incredibly boring. You have this like super amazing world of Pandora with all these like over the top characters, and you made it boring. It's very difficult. Like a good example is like Mad Moxie is like a super huge character in Borderlands. Like everyone recognizes her. Like, don't you think she maybe deserves some kind of character entrance or like introduction? Nope. She's just standing and waves people in. That's the first time you see her just standing. Like it feels like if someone gave me $100 million and I didn't know what I was doing, this is what I would make. because he didn't understand. I don't think he understood what he was doing for an action movie. I think Eli Roth is a capable horror director, but not everyone can be Jordan Peele, right? Not everyone can have like multi-talented facets. Eli Roth should stick to horror. He's in this particular movie, it was terrible. It was just awful. Everything about it was bad. The action was bad. The script was bad. The writing was horrendous. Like every cliche you could have in a movie, it's here, and it's not in a good way. It's just it feels like bad Star Wars. I know that's a kind of a weird thing. People compare it to Guardians, but it's more like a bad Star Wars movie. Where like we have to.
You want to hear a secret though, Greg?
What?
Borderlands story was never good.
That's the thing. It was the world that was interesting, right? The world was interesting. The characters,
the gameplay, it's the gun design.
Yes.
It's the environments. That's the stories that you tell about your times playing Borderlands have very little to do with the characters outside of Handsome Jack or whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know.
There's no world building in this. There's barely any world building. Like that's the biggest shame is that you have all these companies.
Contrast it with some of the more successful adaptations we've seen in the last few years. Fallout does a good job of world building. The Last of Us does an excellent job of that. And the Mario movie
does
is
an
like,
excellent job
that's
of that.
all it is. The Mario movie is just one giant world building exercise. So to see them fail on that part, that sucks. I'll watch this when it's free and I can do it on my couch over there.
You'll see, it's been a while since I've seen a movie like this bad, like just badly framed. Every shot.
That's
is
why
terrible.
I want to watch it. I want to watch it for that reason. Like,
but
I need a new bottom. I need to like know. Okay, this is as low as video game adaptations go.
Also, miscast. Well, like Kate Blanchett's a very talented actress, but like
of an Oscar nomination for Tar.
Super talented actress.
Brilliant performance, and now she's in fucking Borderlands.
Well, that's just because bad direction. Bad direction and writing can do that. You can't save bad direction and bad writing when they do that. Like it's terrible. But like, there's a lot of that Star Wars thing where like she's obviously a Rey Skywalker type character, but like she's too old. Like, I mean, she's with Jamie Lee Curtis. She's like, oh, I remember when you were like 4 years old. I'm like, what were you, 10? Because like you're only 10 years old. Like it was just she was miscast. As much as I love seeing a diverse cast of like older actors, which is great because it's usually a bunch of 20-year-olds. Like I think Lilith was miscast. Lilith needed to be a 20-something person instead of
Doesn't
someone.
A lot of this feel though, Greg? Like I talked about this on Shack Together earlier, but like, doesn't it kind of feel like we were all invited to Randy Pitchford's birthday party and none of us have anything to do?
Kinda.
Like,
I mean,
this is like Randy picked these people, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like there was definitely this reeks of like multiple like head cooks in the kitchen type of situation
Hollywood
where everyone had
agents
different interference about what they're going to do. I mean, Kevin Hart, he's a comedian, and you put him in the movie, and he doesn't do any really thing comedic, which is good because then it's too much. But like, then why have a comedian in a movie who's not going to do the comedian thing, right? Like, here's the thing: Kevin Hart's not an action star. I wouldn't consider him an action star. He's a comedian. And I think there were favors pulled. Tiny Tina isn't even in the first Borderlands, and they shoehorn her in this, which is even weirder. She does okay. Like I said, just his bad direction. Jamie Lee Curtis does her best. Everyone's doing their best, you can tell, but like it's just what should be super fun and like animated and like alive is just completely tone dead. It's just dead movie. Jack Black does fine. I mean, he was obviously named for the poster because anyone could have do Claptrap, I think. Just be annoying, and then you basically got the roll down.
Anybody except for the original voice, because Dave Ellis and Gearbox are no longer
there was
together.
a lawsuit, and there was controversies, and there was arguments.
There's beef.
Yeah, there's beef. Well, I think just like people, like if you love Mad Moxie, that's one of the biggest sins. She's so boring. She like shows she's just there to give exposition, then she like there's no world building. There's zero. There's like like one of those classic, 10,000 years ago there was an alien race. There's like that. Like that's it. Like they don't explain the companies very well. They don't explain Pandora very well. They don't explain the other planets they're on. It's just, which is pathetic. Like it's like who is this made for? And I don't know.
It's made for fans of the movie and made for Randy Pitchford. Going back to like we were all invited to Randy's birthday party and none of us have anything to do, I think is really what we're looking at. I don't know. Did you see his reaction on social media over the weekend, Greg?
He used it to tease a new Borderlands game. No such thing as bad press.
No, there is. he was blocking members of the press. If you said anything bad about it, you were getting blocked. And then
Yeah.
people started calling him out for the blocks, and then he like backtracked.
Look, making a movie is hard. Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's expensive,
Yeah.
and it's a long, grueling process. And like, not all the time works out. Like, I could see there's elements of something good in here. Like, there are certain scenes where I chuckle, or certain scenes where I see something being set up, but it's just executed poorly. And honestly, like, it's hard to blame like any one person when it's such a big production. But like, first of all, the production is okay. Like, production design's great. It's just shot so poorly that, and who do you blame for the shooting? Well, that would be the director. Like, the director's in charge of the vision of how you shoot things, you know? And even if the 80s, like, that's a bad shot, and the director says, well, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway, like, you have no say in the matter. So it's Eli Roth's fault. Solely Eli Roth's fault. Like, you know, you didn't take advice from other people. You thought you knew better. I always thought he was like a discount Tarantino anyway. Honestly, if we're going to throw some shade, like, the dude, it's not that he failed upwards. It's like he did like a couple really violent movies that caught the like attention of Tarantino, and he got into that circle, and then it's who you know in Hollywood, so he kept getting projects, like that kind of thing. Like, sure. I think, Donovan, did you like Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was actually pretty good.
See,
Thanksgiving was a good slasher, which came out last year. It's what he made. I think he shot that after this. That's why he couldn't come back to do reshoots for Borderlands. And obviously Hostel was great, but that series goes places as well.
Stick to horror. That's what you should do. Like, that's where your strengths are. You just stick to horror. Eli Roth is not a good action director, not a good comic director. He wasted so much talent on screen. And like, you'll see, like, the whole movie is like cowboy shots. Like, it's very odd. They're all mid shots. Like, and just put it on the dolly and shoot it, you know? Like, you go to Sanctuary and you have like 2 wides and then this like narrow hallway that's shot so poorly you can tell it's a terrible set because it's shot bad. Like, you have to get creative with your shots. You have to do something different. What are you doing different, right? Nothing. And like, the twist, there's supposed to be this huge twist at the end. And like, we've all played the Borderlands games. We know that Lilith is the chosen person, but they try to play it off as Tina, who isn't even part of the original movie. And like, the first game wasn't all that great, right? It was the second game that really took off. First game was fine, but the second game is what really like skyrocketed it, right, Asif? Like, that was the big
Borderlands
game.
2?
Yes, that was what really skyrocketed it.
Pretty big.
So like, why just
Also,
skip
Tales
1 and
from
go
the
straight to
Borderlands.
2?
Like,
Right?
Tales from the Borderlands happened at a time where the Telltale games were kind of popping off. So I'd say that the combo of Borderlands 2 and Tales kind of made people fall in love with the franchise a little bit.
Oh, the editing. I guess as an editor, and this is why I think it's just Eli Roth being too hands-on, because Quentin Tarantino, like, if you know him and Robert Rodriguez, like, they're very hands-on at all the processes, pre-production, post-production. They're hands-on. Like, there are some like shots where I'm watching this and I'm just like, okay, why is it still on this guy? Like, there's Atlas, one of the guys who plays the Atlas, the big the antagonist. He's making a speech and he pauses for like 3 seconds and he starts talking again. I'm like, wait, why? Like, why is he paused so long? Why didn't we cut somewhere there? Like, it's so horrendous because I think it's just Eli Roth making all these executive decisions, not knowing what he's doing, not listening to anybody, and then this is what you get. I mean, you think you know better. Yeah, it's wild. Like, there are elements here that were good, and I think it's from the other writer who stepped off of the project. And AV Arad produced. I think that's also a red flag. You remember
He's produced some good stuff. I mean, he's producing the Zelda movie.
Yeah, so I have a question about him because, like, I keep hearing this. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Zelda movie's going to be bad because the Borderlands movie was bad."
I mean,
and
Javier has produced 1,000 movies. I mean, he's produced some really good stuff and some really bad stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
Like, here, executive producer on Blade, on X-Men, on Blade 2, on Spider-Man, right? More recently, wasn't he the producer of Beyond the Spider-Verse, producer of Across the Spider-Verse? Those are 2 amazing films.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like he only makes crap.
I mean, you look at any exec who has credits going back to the 90s, you're going to see some horrible, god-awful movies in there. But I don't know. People like to react to those announcements, and they'll go to their Wikipedia, find the worst movie, and they'll be like, this guy made Elektra. But it's like, he's like,
Greg,
also made
did
the
you
excellent
like
stuff.
the 2018 Venom movie?
2018 is okay.
He produced that.
He does a lot of the Sony Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
He has more bad movies than good movies, though.
I think that's going to be true for most people who work in Hollywood.
It's because he does them so quickly in succession.
He does
like,
a lot, I guess is your point.
he
Like
does too many.
2007, he was producing 4 movies
Yeah.
in 2007. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think in recent years he's taken less.
You also have to keep in mind that like producing can mean so many things for someone like him. Like doesn't mean he was on like 7 sets and reading 7. So like they could be so producers can be so deeply involved in a project. It can also just be someone they consult with every couple months. With
Yeah, but like that's the problem,
you know?
right? Like it's too like he's stretching himself too thin, and the productions are so because like he is like when someone has a problem, you go to the producer. Like maybe the exec producer if they're approachable, but like usually they're just the money. But like you go to the producer when you have a problem, and if you're not there to solve problems, Borderlands happens. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like if you're not dealing with people on set, and
he is producing the Zelda movie with Nintendo.
Yes.
Yeah,
So before the
Shigeru
Mario,
Miyamoto, like Miyamoto is executive producer, and he will delay this movie by 8 years if he doesn't like it. You know what I mean?
Before
Like,
the Mario movie, people were like, "These are the animators who made Minions and Despicable Me. That's terrible." And it's like that. It's not. They're not making another Despicable Me with Mario costumes. It'll be different.
But to get back to it, Austin, it feels like a movie that was made for Randy, Eli, and like a couple handful of people who thought it was great, and then like it was like it's like a fan film, like with your friends that you're all laughing about because you knew what happened behind the scenes and it was fun, and like so then you show it to the people and they're like, well, it's not that great because you had to be part of the production to get the joke, and they didn't do that. I mean, like even what was I gonna the Kevin Hart? There's an opening scene in Kevin Hart where he goes to rescue Tiny Tina, and the actress who plays Tiny Tina, she goes, so like, he's like, I'm here to rescue you. And she goes, so my father sent his shortest soldier, right? And like, you can't tell his size based on the framing. So like, you're only laughing because everyone knows that Kevin Hart's notoriously short. So like, it's a fourth wall joke. And it was weird. And I was like, well, shouldn't you show him like in height comparison to something? Like before you make a joke? But no, like, cause all the character reveals are like flat. They're like dead. You know what I mean? Like we know what a character reveal is, right? Like look at Obi-Wan's reveal, right? It's a simple hood drop, but it's a moment. We don't have those moments here. They're just kind of standing around with nothing to do. Very odd. Very, very, very odd.
So Bad Kitty has just found out that they're making a Zelda movie, and she is not taking it well in chat.
Someone is not in the Shacknews news cycle, and they should be.
Well, she's not on Twitter very often.
No. I was gonna say I want to know less. Like Bad Kitty does.
I wish I didn't. I wish I wasn't on Twitter this week. That would have been nice. Or last week, or the week before that. But I guess what I'm getting at is that like this had Randy Pitchford as the guy who was like yay or nay and trying to keep things on track. But Shigeru Miyamoto's a little different. If it's trash, he's not gonna let it ship.
And Randy's also not like a movie he's not a movie producer. He makes games. You know what I mean? Like that's different world, a lot different world. We're sure treated differently. Like I loved how we didn't get invited to any of this stuff, which is very odd.
I think they kind of did us a favor.
They did. It would have been a gigantic waste of time.
I'm not bitter about that.
I'm okay. If you don't want to invite us to your garbage movies, that's fine.
The guns. Like none of the guns, they mention guns, but like the way they're shot, there's only like 1 or 2 shots we actually see them because they're so poorly shot again. Like that's a big thing. I was expecting like a big rack to come down. Nope.
That's like the one thing that I care about in the entire franchise is their gunplay and how well designed the weapons are and stuff. So that seems like a huge miss.
Kate Blanchett's weapon is the best one because you see it the most.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's Eli Roth's fault. It's Eli Roth's fault. He was a writer and director. He's in charge of the story. He's in charge of the vision, and he dropped the ball. But they never admit that. They never admit that. It's not their fault. It's somebody else's fault. We talk about accountability in 2024 with people. Whatever. He gets his directing fee. Whatever. It's probably $10 million. Makes more than I do. He's making movies. I'm not. So what the hell do I know?
That's probably what he would say.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, do you have anything else? We're a bit over time here, but if you had something else you wanted to mention, we can do that before we call it quits.
I saw Wonka. I'm so late to the game on this. I'm always
late.
Wait,
is this the Timothy Chalamet Wonka?
Yes. My wife doesn't like Timothy Chalamet. I don't know why. She just doesn't like. Too boyish, I guess. I don't know.
He's great.
I went into this movie with like really low expectations. Like I was just like, wow, this looks terrible. You know what I mean? Like, how do you do the classic? But like, I was actually rather impressed by Chalamet's performance. Like, he got the mannerisms down, like he has the delivery down, the songs were really catchy. Like, it felt like a Broadway musical, which was great. I mean, it was nice. And Nicole didn't like it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought the story was interesting. I thought it was a fun fantasy world to, like, the visual effects weren't as bad as I thought they were. It was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I really thought it was cute.
This is made by the director who made the Paddington movies, which are like two of the most beloved family films of the 21st century. So
Paddington
it wasn't like
2 was at one point the highest rated movie of all
Yeah.
time.
it is still very highly ranked. Yeah, so it
I had
wasn't
a
like
Twitter
some
account
slop.
where I had a Twitter account where I would just tweet about movies that Paddington 2 was better than, but then
Yeah.
someone reviewed what was it? Citizen Kane again, and it moved up above Paddington
right.
2.
Yeah, that'll
Anyway.
happen. Yeah, but there was competency behind the camera for this. It wasn't just some random bullshit.
So it has, like,
So
it has,
I'm surprised, Greg. I'm surprised to hear this to you, and I'm going to play the Greg role here because
Uh-oh.
you're not, and I'm surprised. I believe the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory film is a perfect movie. The one with Gene Wilder, it's perfect. I don't think you need to tell that story again. Does this movie try to tell that story again?
no.
Okay.
No, it goes out of its way to be a lot different, and it's more. It even has like some of this, like, movies that can teach a lesson. I think are kind of cool. It teaches about perseverance and like promises and, like, keep going. Like, you're gonna hit obstacles in your life, but don't just quit. Keep going. You know
So
what
is
I mean?
this an
Like,
origin story?
yes.
Okay.
It has a
fine.
really sweet moment at the end where, like, he does this for his mom because his mom died. He came out here because his mom used to make chocolate and he wants to share that chocolate with the world. And that's a very, like, childlike mentality to have, right? Like, my grandma makes the best cookies, right? Asif, you should try my grandma's cookies. They're the best.
Sure.
And, like, but, like, he hits all these obstacles and it's never violent. Like, he never gets violent. Like, it's never solved by violence. It's always just perseverance and a little bit of luck.
Who the hell was that Oompa Loompa?
Oh, that's what's his face?
Hugh Grant.
Hugh
Grant is an Oompa Loompa?
Yeah,
He sure is.
That's really fucking weird.
it is weird. It's not too bad. He's not in the movie a ton, and his reason for being there.
I'm not wrong, am I, Jonathan?
No, it's
Like,
No, that was when that first really came out. People were like, "What the hell is this Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa?" Yeah. Yep. That's
I'm
him.
not. I feel like I've had my head down because I didn't even. This came and went. Am I wrong that they tried this before with Johnny Depp?
Yeah, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which came out when I was. growing
the
up.
Tim
It was
Burton
the
one. That one
actual-
was atrocious. Yeah, that was when Tim
That
Burton was all.
sucked.
Yeah, that sucked.
That,
It was
like,
all substance and
That
no
really
story.
sucked.
Good morning, sunshine. The earth says hello.
It was very weird, very, very, very weird. No, but
Yeah.
this one's like, it reminds me a lot of like a kind of like Us too. Like, he comes into this town where there's these 4 other chocolate makers, like IGN, GameSpot, Kotaku. You know what I mean? Like, people like that, and like he's the small guy, and everyone doesn't like the small guy. He's not part of the cool kids club, and it's I don't know. I related to that story a little bit because we do that every day here. We're a very small, independently news outlet, and that was
And yeah. Shacknews Intergalactic headquarters is a lot like the Chocolate Factory.
It is.
So yeah, I guess you're right. It is a magical place that I come out of once every decade, and do a
People go
cartwheel.
missing
I mean, like,
mysteriously.
The thing is too, like, the thing,
Our
like,
plumbing is bad.
yeah.
Yeah, we got all that.
I mean,
We got all those things. Our AC's not working right now. Yeah,
he finally gets his store and it burns down. They burn it down, and like, but he doesn't stop. He keeps going. I think that's a real good message for kids. Like, don't get
Everyone knows an
discouraged,
underdog
because
story.
I mean, we all get there. Everyone gets there, but especially kids, when something doesn't turn out immediately the way you want, they just give up, and don't do that. Just keep going. Like, I think that's a cool. You have to, because otherwise, if you get settled in and cement your feet in, you're just going to be depressed, and that's not good. It had good message, and that was I was not expecting it.
Is this on like a streaming service?
Got to be on Max, right?
I think it's on Max. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
WB joint.
That's
yeah.
where I saw it. Yeah, I think it's not on Max because because I watched The Flash too after that.
Okay. Yeah.
We didn't need the
Okay,
movie
well-
back, Kitty, but like I ended up liking it. Like, I really did. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was gonna be a
No,
cheap
she was-
cash Hollywood movie. Oh, which movie?
No. She's talking about the Tim Burton one.
Oh, it was horrendous. Horrendous.
Yeah.
Absolutely
She said
horrendous.
She said it was atrocious. No,
There was a
I
rough.
haven't watched it.
Tim
I
Burton-
like Timothy Chalamet though. He's good.
He's the
Look at
next
that
Tom
guy.
Cruise, dude. He's the next Tom Cruise. I
He's
think.
playing Bob Dylan in the Bob Dylan biopic. They
He
just
is?
released the first trailer for that. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's,
I forget the name of it. The title is something else. But
that's weird. They're making it Bob.
Yeah.
Good
Mhm.
luck trying to do his voice. That's
I
like,
think he sings in the trailer. Yeah.
yeah. He's very old now. But even when he was young, his voice was weird as hell.
It just sounds like shit.
Bob
Sorry.
Dylan is a good example of you don't have to have a great voice to be a popular musician. You have to say something that matters.
There you go.
And yeah. Anyway, cool. Well, yeah,
Beautiful.
I'll do it. I have nothing to review, Donovan. I haven't watched anything.
Donovan, did you watch anything over
That's
the
okay.
last couple weeks? You had to watch something.
I watched Trap, new M Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh, how what? Is it M Night Shyamalan or is it his daughter? I thought it was his daughter's directorial debut. No.
No, it's M Night Shyamalan.
Oh, I'm
His
confusing
daughter
the
directed
other
a movie
movie.
called Watchers that
Right.
came out earlier this year.
Right. Sorry, I got mistaken. Please. How was
Although
Trap?
his other daughter is in Trap in a supporting role, making her acting debut. So there's that. I thought Trap was really fun. I liked it a lot. I'm an M Night Shyamalan defender though. I enjoy his movies a lot. Signs, one of my favorites. The Village, Visit, Split. A lot of his modern stuff has been really good. He's great. And I think that Trap has such a fun premise where like I know M. Night Shyamalan's made some god awful movies, but he always will deliver an original, exciting, interesting premise for a movie. I hated Old, which was this movie before this. But one thing you can always count on him for is he's going to try to do something new, and it may or may not work. But I really appreciate him for that. In an era where we complain about IP and stuff, I think someone like him is very valuable in the space. And Trap follows a father who takes his daughter to a concert for an artist she really likes, and essentially they quickly find out that like there's this increased FBI police presence at the concert, and he learns that the concert is secretly a trap, like a major sting operation where the police are essentially tracking the serial killer who they've determined is going to be at this concert, and they're going to vet every single person who leaves or enters the venue to catch him. And not spoilers because the trailer tells you this, the cop is the dad, or I mean the killer is the father. So he gets to the concert.
That was the trailer twist that we saw. We're like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like he's the killer.
Yeah. So he realizes, oh shit, like, you know, I'm kind of surrounded, and he becomes like a caged animal. And something fun that I think about this movie is that half of this film, or really like 80% of it, is like a Hitman game, where it is him in this like secluded environment trying to obviously avoid detection, but constantly blending in. He's, you know, taking on the role of like people that work at the food stands, of security. You know, he's harming people and then immediately hiding evidence of it or taking their walkie-talkie. Like it is like a Hitman level where you're just like throwing disguises and trash cans, and you're like pushing people down elevator shafts, and just like every means to the next end as you try to like accomplish an ultimate goal. But
Hitman game. I just saw some of this on the trailer. Yeah, you're right. It is like a Hitman game.
That sounds really interesting.
It's like Hitman, but there's a fun sense of stakes to it because obviously his daughter doesn't know anything about this. She's just the little girl who's there to see the pop concert.
Or does she?
And it's a watch the movie. It's a very like but it is like a very like Taylor Swift kind of thing where like the people in the crowd are going crazy, and the singer obviously has like a cult of personality. So the dad's like, you know, squeaking off. He's like, oh, Brad, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. He comes back. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go get a snack. He's like, oh, wait, I'm gonna go get another snack. She's like, you know, Dad, you're disappearing. So watching him balance like trying to be like a father who, for one part of it, like genuinely cares about his daughter. Like there's a subplot about his daughter being like bullied at school, and the way that he like gets super angry about that. And kind of you know, defending her from like the other kids' parents and stuff is really charming. And then obviously dude's like a serial killer, so he's going batshit crazy in other scenes. But I thought it was really endearing. You could tell that M. Night Shyamalan has a billion kids because there's a lot of themes of just, I think, fatherhood in the movie. But something I thought was really neat about this movie is that there isn't like one hard like oh my god twist at the end like people expect from M. Night. It's more so of just like this unraveling like thread of yarn that just like continues to build until the movie ends, which I thought was really fun, where there's more so just a bunch of smaller reveals about like who this guy is, his motivations. I think the way they use Lady Raven, who was like the pop star in the movie, I thought was really cool, because for most of the movie she's just like on stage. She'll talk a couple times between the songs. The original music's actually pretty good, but then she becomes much more involved in the story in a way I was not expecting, which I thought was really well done. There's some fun appearances from people who aren't in the trailers here. Good like a good balance of suspense, I thought. Like there are a lot of innocent people who are like in this dude's way that you feel bad for or you hope nothing's gonna happen to, which I thought was cool. Uh, the one complaint I did have, it's a movie that feels like it's gonna end maybe like 4 different times. Where once we get to the third act, and I'll say I enjoyed it a bunch, but the people who didn't like this movie, it's the third it's like the last 30 minutes of this movie where they fall off because it goes places. This is a movie that swings and then swings and then swings and swings. They keep throwing stuff at you and you're gonna like buy it or not. But by the end of the movie, there were at least like 3 or 4 different scenes where they could have cut to black and been like written and directed M. Night Shyamalan, and the movie could have just ended. But they keep like going, and that stuff I'm like, okay. Like the movie's an hour 45 minutes. I'm like, it could have been like an hour and a half. But I still thought a lot of the stuff they did was fun. I thought all the little reveals throughout the way were good.
Oh, he's an alien. I get it. I see.
Yeah, there you go. He's from another planet. Yes,
it's
yes,
really
yes.
out there, right? That's
I think they get around the violence of it all really well. Like, despite it being about a serial killer, he's not like chopping people up. It's not. I don't even think this movie's rated R. It might be PG-13. I thought that was interesting that they don't actually really explicitly show you a lot of violent crimes. They talk about them, and people do get hurt in the movie, but it's not like a hard serial killer film that you would traditionally imagine. I think.
I agree with Bad Kitty. You have convinced me that I want to watch this.
Yeah, I mean, I think specifically for you two, I wouldn't be like, this is the one to go to the theater, but like a home watch, 100%. Yeah, I think if you have this access to this at home video whenever it comes out on streaming, it's it was distributed by WB, but it's also M. Night has his own company that he finances his films through. So I don't know where this will end up streaming wise, but yeah, whenever it's out.
Did you see what Lucci just said?
He said, I saw a comedy show on YouTube, and the whole punchline was that this movie is made to promote this girl's music. Yeah, I mean, people have joked about that because it's his daughter who plays the pop star, and she wrote the music for the character. So, I mean, yeah, the more cynical read is like, oh, he just wanted to like prop his daughter up, which maybe. I mean, he's a very successful filmmaker.
Nepotism in Hollywood? I'd never.
Yeah, I mean, my take is that, sure, I mean, it's M. Night Shyamalan. I think if anyone, he's earned it, right? Of all the people to get mad at for doing that, I think there are other directors in Hollywood to get mad at. I'm not going to be upset at the Middle Eastern director who's kind of made a name for himself in this industry and kind of blazed a path for people like himself.
And he did
so if he wants to put his daughter in the movie,
like
so
that's
yeah,
it's low budget, low budget for Hollywood movie, right? Like he made that work.
M. Night finances his movies. He constantly takes risks with stuff. I don't mind at all that he propped his daughter up in one of his films. It's great. It was also very funny for what it's worth. It is a very funny movie. I thought.
He can do humor. He's been shown to do humor in lots of stuff. Like
He can. He's somebody who people have laughed with and laughed at. Like I laughed at that movie because it was just bonkers level of stupid. But this movie, it feels like it's trying to be funny, and I think it does it pretty well. This is definitely would be a good like movie night kind of watch. I would say. I like The Trap quite a bit.
Nice.
It was good.
I'm gonna go see Alien tomorrow with friends.
So. I'm seeing Alien Saturday. Hell yeah.
I heard it's
I can't
very
wait
good
for that movie.
I mean, I saw. So you went sold me on it, honestly, because I wasn't gonna go see it. It was like I saw
the practical stuff. That's what it was.
Went behind the scenes, like, oh man, they made a puppet. I was like, damn. Now I have to. This like I had to rent Sting. Like I rented Sting because I mean, I want to support that kind of filmmaking, right? Because it is. I think at this point it is more expensive. Like it's got to be more expensive to engineer that suit than it is to just make it 3D. Like at this point, like it's just because it's so.
Eddie Alvarez, man, he has a devotion to that kind of stuff.
The handshake deals. Yeah, he said like him and they did an interview with him and they did an interview with Michael Keaton, and it was like it wasn't a contract deal, it was like a handshake deal. Like we want to do as much practical stuff as you'll allow us to do. You know what I mean? And the studio's like, okay, you know, so you know what I mean? So I'm excited for that reason. I think practical, having it be there is better for the actors. It makes the film look better, makes the film age better when something's practical. Yeah. Like it's CGI in like the 90s. Terrible CGI in the 90s. Jurassic Park is the one exception because like they spent like $100 million like making it look good.
And they still, even Jurassic Park, they still used
they used animatronics, a lot of animatronics. So
Yep. I'm looking forward to Alien.
Sure of the two.
Yeah. Alien's gonna fucking rip. That movie's gonna be awesome. But yeah, we can review that next week.
Better than Borderlands. Well, I mean, anything is better than Borderlands.
Well, now we have a new bar for how bad a video game adaptation can be. Because, Greg, it's worse than the 90s Mario movie?
No, that's an unfair assessment. That 90s Mario movie, what they had to work with was like, what did they have to work with? A 2D platformer? Like, what did they have to work with? And you see...
I get it.
you see the modern Mario movie and all those ideals in the 90s one first, because that's what Nintendo does. They did the Wii in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, they're so forward thinking. If you go back in that movie, you look at the production design, you look at the sets, it's all reminiscent of Super Mario Brothers 3. Like, they really go all out. But like, they had nothing to work with.
You're saying that people don't appreciate the Power Glove enough, is what you're getting at.
Yes, and that Mario movie at the time, yes, maybe it was terrible, but like, what did people expect when it's a 2D platformer game with no voice acting?
I don't hate it. I'm just saying that it's widely regarded as one of the worst video game adaptations by a lot of people.
Oh, I don't think
so.
so.
Is Borderlands? I guess Borderlands is now the worst adaptation.
Borderlands is on the very bottom because it's written poorly, it's shot poorly, and it looks poor. Like, it just
the
poor.
Resident Evil movies are down there, definitely still. Monster Hunter's probably down there in that family.
Yeah, you're right. There's some Resident Evil movies that are god awful.
They're
like hilarious. They're like hilariously bad though, Don.
That's true. You can enjoy watching the Resident Evil sequels.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I have a good time watching them because like I don't go into them expecting them to be good. I think a lot of people went into Borderlands thinking it would be good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I went into the new Mario movie thinking it would be good, and I left pleasantly surprised. But
Yep.
It's the yin and the yang. Oh yeah, we are completely ignoring the World of Warcraft movie because God, that movie sucked.
It's just, you can't. I don't know why they start. It's just, there's just.
It's the highest grossing video game adaptation until the Mario Brothers movie.
But it's terrible
because everyone saw it once, Asif, including me. I'm like, that once wasn't.
It was so watered down that you could watch it in China. It was one of the first, I think, video game CG movies. Yeah, remember, like that was like a big deal back then. It's like, oh, this can actually be watched in China.
It's just you have to, like, that movie did such a poor job world building because it just, there's too much going on. Like, you're tackling way too much. Yeah, way too much.
I smell a listicle here, guys.
Yeah,
I don't know if a Pop Goes the Culture listicle is in order here,
can go
but
back to my top 10s again. That's fine.
Worst.
I did best video game movies, didn't I? I think I already made a best video game movies one.
What are the worst?
And last time I did a worst list, I got death threats. So I mean, like,
I know we kind of moved away.
You almost got some from me when I saw the Pokemon one a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Black and White 1 and 2 is like the most controversial like main core Pokemon game. That doesn't say a lot.
Just like you just said about the original Mario movie. Talk about a terrible public consensus, right? Talk about a movie that is just so desperately deserving a reappraisal in the eye of society because people were just wrong about Pokemon Black and White. They were wrong. That's okay though.
People are on his soapbox.
People have been wrong about a lot of Pokemon stuff. That's all right.
Yeah, I did do it. Haha, I did do a top 10 video game movies. What did I give number
top 10
1 to?
Worst? Oh, you do best or worst?
Best. I did best.
Even that could probably use a second pass.
Oh, I gave Mortal Kombat number 1. Hell yeah.
The OG Mortal Kombat?
The 90s one. And Wreck-It Ralph was at 2. Silent Hill was at 3.
What year was this? This would have been way back, right?
2015. Oh my god.
That was almost a decade ago.
That needs revisiting.
It does. After a decade. A decade of Disney review. Will listicles still do well on YouTube? That's the question. Probably.
They do. Just not in 16:9. You have to make them 1 minute.
The last
I said that video would have to be like 1/16 of a runtime, probably. But
The Last Starfighter is the best movie ever. It's not, but the problem is, it's not a video game adaptation. It's just a game. It's a movie about a fake video game.
Yeah, these are video game movies, not based on. It's like we have to make a stipulation. In the
you should do top 10 video game adaptations.
Because I like Grandma's Boys in here too. I love that movie too. That movies.
I think it speaks to how far we've come in the last decade. Right?
I was going to say you could even put together a list of 10 good adaptations in 2015. That's
but now you can.
Yep.
And it would include Sonic and Mario and The Last of Us and maybe even Twisted Metal.
Yeah, just in the 9 years that list has been up, like it's been a drastic improvement of like what we used to get. So like you're right, the standards, because I have Prince of Persia Sands on Time. At the time, yes, it was okay, but like they've gotten so much better now. Like the listicle, the movies have evolved.
Yeah.
So
sorry, as the resident brown person on the show. Jake Gyllenhaal.
He got whitewashed. Yeah, he got whitewashed.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Come the fuck on,
dude.
man.
You know the executive was
Can
like,
you
brown
not
people
find a brown person in all of Hollywood?
No,
is there not a single one?
They won't sell tickets. That was the argument, I'm sure, that they made.
Yeah, they just didn't care.
Yeah, because you know what did poorly? Slumdog Millionaire. That did terribly.
Yeah.
It's like it's
But-
Fisher Stevens level of insulting, and anyone who knows what I'm talking about. I love Short Circuit too, but talk about the ultimate betrayal. You're a kid. You watch this movie that has like a South Indian person in it who's being portrayed positively, and then you find out he's a white dude from England or whatever.
That was brutal. I remember that. I was like, no, that's not true. And I look it up, and it is true. I was like, wow, that's terrible. Poor Johnny Five.
Anyway, yeah,
fun
I
era.
think a revisiting of that top 10 is in order, Greg. Maybe
We
maybe
could
the next year.
Put it on the
Yeah,
pile.
maybe-
Put it on the pile right there. I'll get to it.
I think we should make it a short. I think we should just post them as shorts like we do the Mario Kart tracks.
I think I could
Yeah.
do
You
it
just
10
own it.
minutes and do 1 minute each, and I think that would be fine.
So you do like this is the number 10.
Yeah, because
You
this
have to chain them together.
Yeah, this one is 13:37, but 20 seconds of that are the intros and outros. There's like a 2-minute opener and a 1 minute closer. I could easily get each one down to a minute and just
Yeah. No, the video should open with number 10, blah 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 blah. But that's I guess a discussion for another time. But I think that would be fun to do. And while you're doing that, I'll be remaking the Pokemon list myself and uploading those to the YouTube channel in private.
the top
little
10
ones.
worst Pokemon games according to Donovan, and then I'll do those ones.
Yeah.
Well, our
There you
Shack
go.
Chat this week is about Pokemon. So
It
I'm
is.
interested. I'm interested. That's a little tease, but I'm interested to see what people have to say. I'm gonna pick something that pisses Donovan off. I'm sure.
Wait,
That's
what's-
okay. No
how
one's
do we
gonna
do-
expect my answer. I think I'm gonna have a surprising answer for people for this one. But
I don't know if you're gonna expect mine or not, but I guess the teaser I'll give is that it's not a mainline Pokemon game.
my answer is also not a mainline Pokemon game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it involve
So-
brushing teeth?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No. These are always involved brushing teeth.
You know the one that's Pokemon Smile, and then there's
Yeah,
also
but that could
Pokemon
only-
Sleep.
That could only be but one video. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not
Pokemon
picking
game.
those,
Okay,
I was-
interesting. It's Pokken
Mhm.
Tournament, isn't it, Asif? Pokken Tournament.
No,
Gosh, no.
no.
But it was going to be an esport.
It was the first game I reviewed for Shacknews, the deluxe version on Switch.
If
You feel no
anyone
yet, Donovan?
ever
You're going to get
says-
older.
If anyone ever says it's going to be an esport, it's not going to be an esport.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically that's what it
That's almost
guarantees it.
guaranteed fail.
That has worked out 0 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we did it. That's the end of the show.
There you have it. There you have it, folks. That was a family-sized episode of Shacknews Presents Pop Goes the Culture. Next week will be an interesting one because we just found out Greg and I are going to be reviewing Alien Romulus, so that'll be fun. We'll have
Nice.
a new release to chat about. But until then, we're gonna be played out by elevator music here. As always, I'm Donovan. That is Greg. That's Asif. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Had a lot of people in the chat. Great seeing you again, Bad Kitty 64. Axeman, appreciate you as well. Liv Tilted Tom is out there somewhere. Lucci as well. We appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, it was like
But,
quite a reunion of our chatters.
Yeah, it was fun. Always appreciate getting input from all those folks. But we will see you 7 days from now for the next episode. Pop Goes the Culture. Peace out.
Later.